So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Doctor, look.
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Clear.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Dr. Homebrew. This is going to be a wild show, a crazy show. Mainly because, we have 4 beers to drink, plus maybe some other stuff. I don't know. But we also have a big announcement for the future of Dr. Homebrew here. And so, we decided to kind of just go all out with this one and have everybody on as much as we can. We're going to pack the show with 2 guests, 4 beers, maybe 6 beers. I don't know if depends if Cooper wants us to drink his ciders or not. Like, who knows what's going on? We're going to be doing that. But today we have Steve back on the show, and Steve has what do you have, Steve?
I have a whole bunch of stuff, but I think that what you're referring to is the American Brown Ale.
Yes, sir. The American Brown Ale
that I handed off to Brian Cooper.
I like an American Brown Ale.
I do too.
So we're gonna drink that, and then I also have a canned beer from Oakland United Beer Works.
That's correct. Yeah, my homebrew club, Bay Area Masters. It's our 35th anniversary this year, and we've been making a big deal out of that. So that what you're holding there is the first in a series of collaboration beers done in celebration of our milestone.
Oh, nice! That's awesome. I can't wait to drink that, even though it is a quadruple IPA? No, West Coast double IPA. But 8%.
Pretty tame for West Coast double IPA standards at only 8%, but still, a little bit of a strong one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. With me, of course, are Brian and Brian. Welcome, fellas.
Hi,
How
JP.
you guys doing?
Doing real good. Good. Do we sound okay? We didn't really sound check before the show.
You sound fine, man. You sound fine.
You're usually so retentive about that, sir.
Well, I'm like a sponge. I retain things. You know what you mean?
Like our voices for hours and hours on end after the show is recorded.
Yeah, basically. This is how I fall asleep. I listen to you guys pre-show.
Oh, God. I'm so sorry for you.
No, it's all right. Well, I guess let's get to the big announcement. We can start drinking beer. So the big announcement is this is probably the last Dr. Homebrew show with some sense of regularity. So we've been in talks with each other, and things might move on where we'll do a show every once in a while. But as it stands, Dr. Homebrew in the 2-episode-a-month format is basically ending with this show.
We're breaking up the band.
Yes, sort of.
Yeah.
We're breaking up the band to be a side project with the same band.
Yeah, I always wanted to have a solo career.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll have an occasional
me.
streaming special. Yeah, well, every now and then we'll have one off.
Yeah, why not?
That'd be nice.
So that's kind of what we're talking. So, and people are probably wondering why. There's a lot of reasons. One is because it's kind of hard to get homebrew. Mm-hmm. 2 is we don't meet in person anymore, so it's even harder to pass beer around, and it just becomes this like giant drain on everybody's schedule as far as like who's getting beer and can you go do this? Then I'll run out here. It's a pain in the ass if we actually finally get beer. But it's also homebrewing sort of like kind of in a constrictive moment, I suppose. You know what I mean? So I just don't think there's a lot of people doing it.
So homebrew is constrictive.
Yeah.
Until now, we've been fairly regular. What's going to happen next?
I don't know.
Is there going to be an explosion?
Well, that's the thing. I always want to leave it open.
All the beer
for what happens in the future.
I don't know.
So we're not pulling the plug necessarily, but we are taking a break. And then if we have something good, if we have some good home brewers to come on, if we have some good topics to discuss or whatever, we'll come back, we'll do a show, we'll throw it up. But, for all intents and purposes, this is sort of the end of the regular Dr. Homebrew.
Yeah. We'll do like a Star Trek Picard in 2040, and I'll get back together and drink whatever the kids are drinking in 2040.
Yeah.
Do we have to sing the Von Trapp singer song? Goodbye. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye. Whatever that. Yeah. I need to look up the.
I do want some credit for having a 2-to-1 ratio of examples of homebrew provided to Dr. Homebrew podcast appearances.
Credit is given.
There you go. I appreciate you.
The medal will come in the mail. Yeah.
Steve's been doing the work. Steve's been doing the heavy lifting. His shoulders are broad.
Yeah, he has.
Definitely handle it. So shame on you for everybody else. Yeah, no. So that's basically what's going on. And so if you're thirsty for more Dr. Homebrew, I don't know what to tell you. Go back and re-listen to everything.
Okay.
Back when we were young.
You have to start at the beginning. There's a lot to listen to, so that would take you a while. By the time you come back, we'll surely have at least another show posted.
Yeah, maybe.
We can do it whenever we want now. That's
sure.
I'm gonna be bored. I'm gonna be bored in like a month and a half. I'm sure.
Well, you know what? You can do research for my other podcast. How about that? You can do that for free instead.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's get to the beer. Enough about Dr. Home. Let's talk about Steve and his beer. This is an American brown ale.
Yes, sir.
Are you a prolific brewer of American browns, or was this sort of those one-off beers that everyone likes to do sometimes?
It's a little bit of both. American brown ale is I think a highly underrated, underrepresented style. Not one that I have done very often.
It really is, man. It is. People don't give it.
It can be so good.
Yeah, and I think it was Roger used to tell the story, or maybe someone else. Were like, yeah, basically, it's people don't buy colors. So you put the word brown in there, they go, it's not. I don't want that. I'm not going to do that because it's not a delicious sounding color, and they think that's part of the problem with it. Yeah, it's a great beer if it's done well. It's fantastic beer. I love an American brown ale.
I think this was done pretty well. Hope you guys enjoy it. It is certainly. I haven't tasted a bottle of this. I have a bottle of it next to me right now that I haven't opened. Taste alongside you guys, but
all right. Well,
I did brew it a little while ago. Hope you guys enjoy it.
It is one of the the prototypical kind of craft beer styles when American craft brewing was just kind of starting out. You had like Pete's Wicked Ale come out, and that it kind of caught some people by surprise. And I remember seeing that on the shelves, here and there, like creeping in alongside the regular beers. Like, whoa, they have Pete's Wicked Ale on the shelf at a grocery store. Holy smokes.
When I vaguely remember Pete's Wicked Ale and, stuff like that. And it's definitely interesting how the flavor of homebrew and commercial beer, you sort of like pushed forward from those heady days, in the early 90s.
Right. And that was considered pretty hoppy then. It came from like the English brown tradition and hopped up quite a bit more. But then you end up with, like I had a Janet's Brown the other day. We judged the Alameda County Fair homebrew competition.
Oh, nice.
And I broke one out, and they had all the bottles arranged out like by score, like the extra bottles that the judges had just finished. And so they had like the 20 and less point beers on one side, and then up to 30s and the 40. I just put the can of Janet's Brown way off to the right side of all the 40 point beers, as put it there, or where it would be 45 or perfect, and it was quite good.
No way.
But I just put it there just as as kind of a joke. I was
gonna say, I'm an unabashed Janet's Brown hater. Not a hater. I don't like that beer. I never did. I never liked it. I thought it was on the sweet side, and I thought the hops were a little too, I don't know. They kind of covered a lot of the malt for me because I love a malty brown. those are the brown ales I remember, like Snowshoe Brown, and that more beer. There's Kit Malty Brown that Olin made, and like that's what I kind of grew up with. And so to have this turn in like a sweeter, the kind of woody hop thing, I didn't like it. I never understood the praise that the beer got.
It's a hard beer to get right, and I think part of the getting right is that I think people's palates, the dark malt and the hops, are inherently clash.
Yes,
in my opinion,
they do.
And it was hard for like a brown IPA or an American brown or anything like that. It's hard to do that in a way that's gonna please more than a third or a half of drinkers, because everyone's balance on that is going to be different, and everyone's threshold of what's clashing is different. And it's also kind of an oddball style anyway, especially today. Mm-hmm. So you can't make a commercial beer that's going to appeal to, a quarter of drinkers and have that be a big hit. But, thinking back to like Pete's Wicked, man, in a way, I wish I could go back to 1991. In many ways, I'm like, oh God, no, I don't want to do that. But in many ways, I'd like to go back to 1991 and have like a fresh Pete's Wicked and see what that actually tasted like with the palate I have today.
I love Brian because he's such a dork. Where like, if I had a time machine, folks, this is what I would do. I would go back to 1991. Oh yeah, would you buy Microsoft stock or Apple stock? No, I would have a fresh Pete's Wicked Ale.
Yeah,
and then
after I kill Hitler and after I buy Snapple stock, I'm going to have a fresh Pete's Wicked Ale.
And then I would come back to 2025 and I would tell everybody about it on the podcast.
Fuck yeah, I would.
And he comes back and says, yeah, it tastes exactly the same as I remember. I just forgot.
And people will all be like, well, who's Hitler? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's 1991. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, Cooper, why don't you go ahead and start us off judging this beer, please?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the bottle had a kind of a semi-high fill, opened at a medium hiss. And so we're judging a 19C by the 2021 guidelines, American Brown Ale. In the nose, it seems like it's going to be kind of sweetly malty. It has a dark bread crust-like character up front from the malt. It's fairly malty, finding a light, perfumey floral hop kind of mixed in, moderate fruity esters in there from a clean ale fermentation. No DMS or diacetyl, anything standing out odd in the fermentation. It's nicely fermented. Getting some medium dark caramel and just a very light chocolate in there, kind of mixed in with everything else, not really hiding, but just kind of light and supporting the other characteristics there. But yeah, it's nicely malty. The hops are kind of low and restrained, but it's definitely not a gin. It's brown. So anyway, pours a very large head in appearance of light tan foam, very fluffy in texture. The head was really nice. Mix of finer and larger bubbles. Beer is very clear. It's kind of a light brown, dark copper color, I would say. And the head retention is fantastic. So, 3 out of 3 for appearance. Flavor-wise, this beer is malty rich. It's got a deep bread crust-like and dark caramel impression with some chocolate. No coffee or anything richer than that. Just a light chocolatey note, but kind of the blended with the kind of a caramelly note to me. Semi-dry in the sweetness level. It's kind of nice having the sweetness accenting that. It's not too dry like some of them can be. The finish lets the malt shine through pretty well. Bitterness is fairly low, just enough to balance. And I think I'm getting some faint kind of citrusy American hops in here, but mostly it's kind of that floral and a little herbal kind of note in there mixed in. Just the hops are a little bit backgroundy and supporting, and that's the style can have a lot of balance, and that's fine. Low chocolate, clean fermentation. It's definitely balanced to the malt. I gave it a 14 out of 20 for flavor. In the mouthfeel, it's medium bodied, toward medium light. It's pretty smoothly quaffable, medium high carbonation, which seems like it would be fighting with it, but it's actually somewhat creamy smooth at the same time. It's not too mouthfilling, and there's no carbonic bite. It's also not astringent, or only the faintest alcohol warmth here. It's just it goes down pretty smooth, and you get a little warmth, but nothing hot or biting or harsh here. So 4 out of 5 for mouthfeel. So overall, this is a very pleasant and smooth drinking American brown ale. I think it fits the style well. While the hop character and intensity can vary a lot for the style, I think that the beer could you could lean it towards more of a. I personally think that resiny kind of hops blend well with the brown, and I'm not sure what hops were using this. It may very well be American hops is just really light and they're not poking through very much, but I'm not getting a lot of US hop character in it. It's backgroundy. It's nicely balanced, and I think that you could adjust those and lean it a little more towards a slight resiny hop. What I think would accent the beer nicely, bumping up the chocolate a little bit and darkening the color just a bit would may help too. But it's very nice as is. I think it's a very smooth and kind of lighter bodied and a little maltier interpretation of the style, but it's not a malt bomb. It's got some definite balance to it. I gave 7 out of 10 for overall impression. I landed at a 37 on this beer. As I'm drinking it and it's warming and I'm tasting it again, I could lean up towards it a little higher than that, because honestly, it's quite good and balanced. I should really try not to let my personal preference for the style creep in too much. So I don't know. We'll see where Brian falls, and I'll adjust with him. We'll do some calibration.
Changing on the fly is a Dr. Homebrew rite of passage. All right, Sean.
Yeah, I largely echo what Coop said. I think I like this beer a lot. Aroma, yeah, I give this 9 out of 10 for aroma. I think this is it's a very chocolate. I get a lot of chocolate in the aroma. It's the style guidelines say moderate malty sweet to malty rich aroma with chocolate, caramel, nutty, or toasty qualities. And I think chocolate to me really dominates this beer. And this is a personal preference. I like the chocolate malt, pale chocolate malt in a dark beer in a lot of those styles, and it really comes through. I get a little caramel, not that much, maybe a little bit of nutty. It's 90% of this aroma is chocolate. Hop aroma can be typically low to moderate, and I get maybe a little hint of resiny. Cooper was getting maybe more a little citrusy or something. I get maybe a little bit of resin.
Yeah,
it might just be because I've talked myself into it. But again, 9 out of 12 for aroma. Appearance 3 out of 3. It's medium brown. It's crystal clear. The head is low and very long lasting. So that's great. Flavor, the flavor continues with that chocolate that is in the aroma, which I really like. It's probably, I'm guessing probably 70% of the flavor that I'm getting is the some kind of chocolate. I get maybe a little bit of oxidation or something. There's something in the finish that isn't bad, but maybe is just a little bit. I think of it maybe as a little bit of oxidation. The hop flavor, I get maybe a hint of resiny. It's extremely well attenuated, which I really like. That's, I don't know that it's required that an American brown be well attenuated, but as compared to, say, an English brown or some other type of brown ales, to be more malty, this has the malt flavor, but to me, it's very dry in a very good way.
Yes.
So
yeah,
not bone like dry, but just dry enough that
exactly.
I can see that it's not like multi-sweet like an English one for sure.
Right. And it has malt complexity. It's chocolate really kind of dominates in the finish. The hop bitterness is there. It's certainly a bitter beer. It's a firm bitterness, as the Germans would say. You're talking about a German style. Like a German Pilsner, it has firm bitterness. It means it's a bitter beer. It's not ripping your face off, but it's a bitter beer. I would say this is that same sort of, quote unquote, firm bitterness that a German Pilsner has. The hop bitterness is fantastic. It really makes it stand out. But in the finish, it's very balanced, and that malt is really pleasant all the way through a really long finish. So, good job on that. Mouthfeel, 5 out of 5. I would call this, medium body. Even though it's really well attenuated, it's got medium carbonation. I do get some warming on this. That just might be personal, but I get some warming. I would give this probably like a 7 for overall impression for a 37. I think it's a really, really well done beer. I'm not sure about the oxidation. As I come back to it, I thought I got a little something in the finish. I'm not sure it's there. This is right around 40. If I wasn't getting that maybe hint of oxidation, this is easily, a 40 plus point beer. And I'll be curious to hear like when you brewed it and hear all about it. But I really like it, Steve, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Glad you like it.
Well, we have also had the bottles since we collected entries for our homebrew competition, which was in early May, and here we are in early June. So it was bottled a while ago. I'm not really getting any real oxidation, but I keep.
I'm not either. Just as an aside, I love American Brown. I like this beer a lot. It has a lot of that American Brown flavor that I like. Like we were talking, before we started the judging, that Shar, what you were saying, like hops and dark malt, especially roasted malts. Okay, I mean they're the same thing, idiot. But like highly roasted malts, right? Like Black Patent and roasted barley, which that's I'm not saying it goes into brown, but you know what I mean. Those are very hard to do.
Yeah,
brown you get a little more. I think you get a little more forgiving because you don't have such highly kiln malt, but it still can be very a nuanced thing to kind of blend together. And I think this beer does that. I love that mid palate roasty character. It's almost too much. It's on the hairy edge of like, this could be like a stout from the 90s. You know what I mean? It's like, but without, I know Cooper's looking at me funny. But
it's a little like a Sierra Nevada stout in the 90s.
Yeah. Without the acrid, I'm not talking about like the acrid kind of roast, but like there is that roasty character to it.
Or the Sierra Nevada Porter in the 90s.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
In the blue label, that stuff was that was phenomenal.
I think that for me, I want like maybe like a little more body. Maybe it's a little too dry. But I mean, I would shoot a 38, 40.
Yeah.
Nice.
For this beer.
I think we've all landed in the high 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
I'm curious. Yeah. Really curious to get to the malt bill of it. Cause I do agree with that really long finish, and the aftertaste just goes on, and the complexity is really nice. And to me, it was on the lighter end, not toward roast. I kind of disagree with JP there. I agree more with Brian that it does have a fair amount of chocolate flavor with some supporting caramel in there and perhaps a bit of nuttiness. It's just really nicely complex. And I don't know if you got that from one malt, dark malt, or a few different ones blended together, but it'll be fun to go through that. So yeah,
I mean, it tastes like an English brown malt. It tastes kind of like a little like biscuity malt. There's some things going on that I really appreciate. And yeah, like you were saying, Coop, the taste goes on, and that's what you want. And it's a taste in a good way. It's not necessarily a taste that goes away. You go, oh, I want more. You kind of savor what you have in your mouth. Mm-hmm. But I think that makes a good brown ale. I don't think you should be chugging these. You let them warm up. You kind of you sit a little longer with them. And this kind of like, it pays off. It keeps paying off, and you don't have to like pound the beer to keep getting those flavors. It's very good. Anyway, Steve, we're not saying different anymore. I hated it. I think it sucked. I'd rather piss than a bottle. Why don't you give us the malt bill, and we can kind of pat ourselves in the back or throw accusations at one another.
We can get to that in a second. I want to reveal a couple elements of funny business going on with this beer.
See, you know what, Steve?
Uh-oh.
You and your friggin' Monstera back there.
Yeah, he's got a big reveal for the series finale. I appreciate that.
Yeah. suppose you encounter this beer not at, amber and brown American beers table, but at experimental and mixed style beers, and it was called Imperial Brown Ale.
Be like, nah, there's nothing imperial about this. This is guy's
Oh.
off his rocker. He's off his meds.
It's 8.7%.
I was getting some
So
warmth.
I wasn't wrong about the warming. That wasn't
It's
just me.
very smooth. We all mentioned the warming, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't get warming until I burped just now.
Excuse me.
There you go. Perfect timing. And
But it's-
and I got it there. But I wouldn't have guessed that. I wouldn't have guessed.
So yeah, it's 8.7%, 2.5 percentage points higher than the top of the scales for the BJCP guidelines, which top out at 6.2%.
Put that in here now.
I had hoped it would come out a little fuller and more like of a thicker mouthfeel, but it kind of dried out and thinned out.
Yeah,
a lot more than I anticipated when I started brewing it, and I entered it into World Cup of Beer, which is the homebrew competition that my homebrew club Bay Area Masters hosts. I entered it twice. I entered it as Imperial Brown Ale, which is my initial what I initially envisioned, and then I also entered it as just regular nondescript American Brown Ale. And I was very fortunate to see that one of the judges was Brian Shar.
No shit.
Yeah.
Was that one of your judges?
Yeah,
What did I give this beer in competition?
Who is
You're
this
one of the
Brian
judges.
Shar guy?
as I recall, if you recall back in December, I gave you the beer that was initially conceived as a Scottish export, but it scored best as a British brown ale.
Right.
You got that. You were the only one who had that, and you ventured a guess at 38.
I called my shot and I called my score. Yep.
This one, you said it was 37, and the consensus score was 37.
Wow.
Dang. And we
So,
both gave it a 37.
2 for 2. However, Brian, you individually gave it 39 at World Cup of Beer, and then your partner judge gave it 35.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then what did you give it just now? Shar, you gave it a 40, right?
37.
37.
He said 30. Maybe he said he kind of
I thought
gave
if I-
a little
if I-
margin error.
40.
If it was, I might be just imagining the oxidation, in which case it's probably a 40, 41.
Yeah, look at this.
Well,
man.
it was bottled in. It's bottle conditioned,
Hmm.
and I think I bottled it in like the first week or two of February.
Look at that.
Wow.
Bottled in February. We've had it it's been what? How long has it been since Shar gave the original score? A couple months, something like that?
Since Brian Shar's initial score, that was judged on. I recall he was there and judging the last day of the competition, which was March 30th.
There you go. Look
Yeah,
at
so that's it's solid 2 months.
So
beer
it's-
hasn't changed,
well,
apparently.
No,
Well, bottle
Love it.
conditioned
that's good
beers,
packaging, man.
yeah,
That's
they,
really good packaging.
Yeah.
they tend to hold up better when they're bottle conditioned than something that you fill off a keg.
And also this one of some increased strength kind of, I think, takes to age a little bit better.
could smooth out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Same. That's why I work
But
out.
that ended up getting it did end up getting second place at the table. So my American
Nice.
Brown Ale was second place.
Nice.
Congrats.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's cool.
in amber and brown American beers.
Oh, well, hit us with the recipe then.
Yeah. So this one was as you guys may recall, I live very close to Admiral Maltings,
Yes. That's
Um,
right.
who-
That's right.
who are very good friends of mine. I am on texting basis with the production manager there, so I can just let him know.
Nice.
I can text him and just say like, hey, when is this malt coming out of the kiln next? And I can plan my brew days to brew with malt that was kiln the very same day. Or
You
within
gotta
a couple
watch
days.
out for the hot malt coming out when you put the bucket underneath. Oh, hot malt.
And you can also say, hey, I got this homebrew podcast that needs more sponsors.
Yeah. Tell them
Yes.
Keep going.
I've already tapped them dry for sponsorships for my own purposes. So best of luck to you guys.
Oh, well.
This one was, so like I said, it was an 8.7% beer. Original gravity was 1084. The base malt was a malt called Gallagher's Best, which is like a high color American pale malt from Admiral at 77%.
Mhm.
At 10% is Admiral's Hearth, which is it's kind of their like a dark Munich malt.
Oh, interesting.
And 7% was a malt called Kilnsmith, which is about a 90 degree crystal malt. But it's not quite the same as like your conventional crystal malts because it does ferment out.
And what percent was that you said?
About 7%. I'm
Okay, so
rounding based on my
caramel.
recipe sheet. That one was 7.2. But
Okay.
I was kind of rounding for the sake of conversation. 5% is a malt called Cara Ruby. If you recall, a couple months ago, I had a dark mild that I provided for you guys. I was sick that day when we were recording, and I felt like I had swallowed a handful of needles, so I couldn't really.
Oh God!
Couldn't really speak too much. But it sounded like you guys enjoyed that dark mild that had some Cara Ruby in it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're feeling better too.
Yeah, I feel great. Having a good time. Had a Czech dark lager. Had an imperial brown ale. I'm all right. And then at less than 2%. The final malt is low-colored chocolate malt from Crisp.
Wow, and that comes across so chocolatey.
I think that the low-colored chocolate malt will of course have some chocolatey character, but if you ever have Admiral's Hearth,
okay,
it's Hearth.
Hearth. I think it's Hearth.
Yeah,
I always get every time I get any amount of that, I spend probably 15 or 20 minutes just with my face in the bag because it smells like hot fudge to me.
Wow.
It's like hot fudge topping.
Nice.
It just has this like fudginess and chocolatiness to it. It's just so intoxicating to me.
Nice.
And so I think some chocolate character may be coming from 7.2%.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That makes sense.
Almost 10% of Kilnsmith.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I mean, of Hearth.
Okay.
Mixing up my malts today.
I almost wanted to say like pale chocolate because I was just like the chocolate to me was on the lighter side.
Yeah.
And it's a different twist. It's not like that rich dark chocolate that you get from that 300 Lovabond stuff. Yeah.
When
it's
I was
like the lighter version.
When I was making this recipe, I deliberately went very low on the color for a brown ale because I wanted to differentiate it from a stout, from an imperial stout, or just from a standard American stout. I wanted the color to be like at a glance much lower than a stout.
Yeah, you succeeded.
because I intended it to be a very strong beer, and so I just didn't want it confused for a stout. I wanted it to be a brown ale, very brown, unmistakably brown. Hops on it, just 2 hop additions. I had an hour-long boil. I had 1 ounce of a hop called Admiral, which I had gotten from. I think I had gotten these from SoCal Homebrewing Supply, but I previously got some from Michigan hops. And then at 10 minutes, I had a hop called Sterling added.
Mm-hmm.
I was initially attracted to Sterling. The Apartment Brewer on YouTube had a video of, I think, his Czech Pale Lager or his Czech Premium Pale Lager, and he talked about Sterling as having both Czech Sots and U.S. Cascade as part of its lineage.
Interesting.
And so it had some of those kind of more old world, spicy, earthy, and noble sort of flavors, but with some presentation of some more modern, fruity and citrusy and more piney sort of flavors. And so I initially picked up a bunch of Sterling to brew bitters with, and I brewed I brewed some bitters with it. I brewed a best bitter that I served at a festival. That was, I thought, delicious, and I just had a bunch of Sterling around to use up, and so I put Sterling in this, and I think that's kind of where you get that kind of flowery, floral,
nice
aroma and flavor from.
Yeah, it's a daughter of Sauce and Cascade with some open pollination of German varieties. So yeah, it's like it's spicy, but yeah, it had a little bit of American character, but a lot of floral, a lot of kind of.
And so like I said, I initially picked it up. I picked Yakima Valley Hops had a bunch of fresh Sterling available or freshish Sterling available, and I just picked up some and I brewed. I intended it for my my British bitters.
I wouldn't think it would give a big British character like it would play a little differently, like a noble hop in a British beer rather than like EKG or Fuggles or something.
Well, I mean, like one of the best British arguably one of the best British beers is Timothy Taylor Landlord, and that uses I think it's a Czech hop.
Really?
It's Styrian Golding.
Mm-hmm.
That may not be Czech, but it's definitely like a continental hop. that is known for its kind of increased like citrus and kind of a little bit more of a modern character. So I obviously I think there's some conversation to be had about the use of a more modern hop variety like this in very traditional British styles, but it in my head it kind of made sense given that precedent from Timothy Taylor.
Yeah. There's also some conversation that should be had, but about judges, tasting an 8.7% beer and judging it fairly well as the beer that ends at 6.2. So, yeah. I also find it's interesting that you got Admiral malt and Admiral hops in the beer.
Yeah, hop just happens to be called Admiral.
Use Admiral water somehow, like Admiral brand.
I bet there's some town called Admiral, or some town or some county called Admiral.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And I could probably get Admiral water if I had to. No, I initially toyed with Admiral hops because they're used in a beer called Seafarers. By I think Fuller's makes it now in the UK. I like British beer. I think we established that before. I've been to probably close to 100 pubs in the UK, and I have my own beer engine. So I mean it when I say I like British beer.
There you go.
But Seafarers uses Admiral hops, and that was my first ever cask ale, and I liked it a lot.
Interesting.
That's cool. Well, what do we think? Any?
I'm finding the beer really easy and smooth to drink. So it's nice. I think one other thing, if we want to finish with the beer, there's another thing I wanted to ask Steve about, and that is about his BJCP exam. Which, was fairly recently taken, and you're waiting for results, I guess. But
I've been very busy with the homebrew club and homebrew related things. So about a month ago, I took the BJCP tasting exam, and I thought it went pretty well. We had a little debrief session with some of the proctors, who, for those of you unfamiliar with the process, are very experienced judges, like a Brian Cooper type, who, in a separate kind of sequestered room, they judge the same beers and they evaluate the same beers as the prospective new judges. And their scores are in part used. My understanding is that their scores are used in part as kind of a reference for evaluating the prospective judges, their prospective judges' work.
Yeah, that's how the scoring accuracy is determined. It's just a formula, and if you're 2 points off on average from the proctors, then you'll be master level for scoring accuracy. So it does end up being 20% of your exam score is that, but it's fairly forgiving. You can be 8 or 10 points off, before you start getting towards like having to worry about failing.
I don't think I was greater than 8 points away from any of the consensus scores of those judges. I was pretty in line with one of them in particular, and so that was kind of comforting to see.
Cool,
excellent.
And sometimes they can be a little off too, but a good grader will look at the overall picture, and as they're grading your exam, they're looking at the perceptions, your descriptive ability, your completeness. And I got a bunch of score sheets from Steve that I glanced at a bit. I didn't get a chance to give him a lot of feedback on them, sadly, before he'd already taken the exam. I'm like, I was just getting ready to do these for you.
That's all right.
Yeah, we did a class back in January. The Bay Area Masters did there seems like every year there's a new crop of judges coming up through there, and I really
we target doing that annually as the BJCP kind of training course.
Yeah. So hopefully you did well, and hopefully what I contributed to the class helped you a little bit. And
maybe I thought you were going to pull out a score and give it to him and let him know.
Yeah, your BJCP exam score is.
I should have forwarded you, because the proctor of the exam, he sent each test taker scans of their score sheets. I should have sent you those. Maybe on the next doctor. Oh
yeah.
Ouch.
You wish, brother. All right. Well, that's fantastic. We only have 2 breaks, so I don't know, man. Let's fucking take a break.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever. It's Dr. Homebrew for now. Hold on. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV. Summer of cinema is here, and Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Beverly Hills Cop, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Good Burger, Stealth, Four Brothers, and Star Trek. Bring the action with you and stream for free on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never. Stream now at pluto.tv.
Hey business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Dr. Homebrew, please report to the ER for code blue. Dr. Homebrew to the ER, please. No, and your tea time has been moved to 2:30.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Dr. Homebrew. I am opening up a double IPA.
You, JP, are opening a double IPA?
I don't want to, but Steve is making me do it. He's actually over here now. He has a baseball bat to my head.
This is the series finale for drinking a double IPA. Come on.
I guess. Steve, tell us about this beer, man. It's in a can. It's a commercial product.
It's a good one, isn't it? I mean, it's a good looking one, at least. If you haven't tried it, it's a good looking one. So my homebrew club, Bay Area Mashers, we're in the midst of our 35th anniversary. We were officially founded as a club 35 years ago to the day, just this past Sunday, was it?
Wow,
cool.
Congratulations.
And I thought when I kind of became aware of this milestone anniversary coming up, it happened to coincide with when I became president of Bay Area Masters, and I thought we should make a big deal out of that. And all at the same time, I got to know a guy named Jamie Crawford, who is in the Maltose Falcons homebrew club, who this past year, 2024, celebrated their 50th anniversary. They're the oldest homebrew club in the country.
Oh, wow. They're down in the valley in LA.
Yeah. And for their 50th anniversary, they're doing like a gala of collaboration beers. And I thought we should do that. I'm stealing that idea word for word and doing it up here. There's enough geographical distance that there's not going to be so much of a conflict. And we're going to do that too. And so I've been working it's been almost a year now that I've been chatting up these professional breweries, navigating various iterations of various visions for, a celebration, an adequate celebration of 35 years of Bay Area Mashers. And we've landed on 9 different breweries who have firmly committed to brewing beer with Bay Area Mashers, the majority of which are going to be featured at an upcoming beer festival on June 28th, which is It's the Malt at, it's no surprise, at Admiral Maltings, where I get all my malt. And the malt house that has a pub that I have good connections to. Imagine that. Being
Admiral Maltings for all your malting and drinking needs.
Yeah, that's exactly
Alameda,
it.
California. Join them at Admiral Maltings. Is that admiralmaltings.com?
Probably.
That sounds exciting, man. When is that? June what?
June 28th.
June 28th.
So it's a beer fest called It's the Malt. It's the second annual second edition of It's the Malt. 7 of the 9 collaborations are going to be featured there. This one that you have now, the double IPA with Oakland United, is one of the few exceptions where it's not going to be featured there because they wanted to do it sooner rather than later. They wanted to bump up the timeline, but this is still very fresh. This was just canned. The canning date on there, I think it was just canned a week ago today.
I'm sure some of it can be poured there, so you still have all the beers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you can also find another brewery to get you up to an even 10. There might be
there are a handful that have kind of softly committed, but there's 9 that are firmly committed.
Yeah, cool. That's great.
So it's going to be
super cool. That's a lot of
7
work
different.
too.
Yeah, it's been a lot. I've been asked to write an article for Zymergy magazine.
Oh wow!
Which is an additional bit of workload that I accepted. That is that I have to finish because they want that copy on Friday.
Use ChatGPT.
Okay,
You got like 36 hours. You're good.
Yeah. Pound another couple Imperial Brown ales and just go to town.
It'd be fine. Yeah. They have
Oh,
editors. That was
the last
correct. They can correct for spelling and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. What else are they doing? You know what I mean? What they should do is they should write the article, but they should interview you. Have an interview with it.
Yeah, it's a little late for that now, but no, I'm very cheerfully accepting this challenge and accepting.
That's good.
You'll do great. That's awesome. We'll
ChatGPT, write me an article for Zymergy about getting 9 breweries to brew our homebrew club's beer.
You'd be surprised at how little progress that gets you.
About zero.
It's not zero.
I would not be surprised at how little progress that gets you.
It's not zero, but it's not a lot. And I'm not guessing at that figure.
All right. Well, let's talk about this beer, huh? What do you think, guys? Have you all tried it yet?
Yeah.
It smells great. It does not taste like a double IPA necessarily.
No, super drinkable
in a good way. Yes,
it's super. You're right. Very drinkable.
This was one of. I only attended one full brew day, and this was the one.
Cool.
And so I know from soup to nuts how this one was made.
You dumped hops in the kettle and all that.
Dimitri Torres, whom you've had online here, we snuck in an extra handful of hop pellets that we found lying around, and so if this one goes on to really tremendous critical acclaim, we're going to claim that as the secret sauce that we did.
There you go.
So Simcoe, Raquel, and Mosaic. It's an interesting combination that really works.
Yeah, we think so. The Mosaic was kind of a game day decision. They had, I think it was Mosaic, and they had Amarillo and a couple others lying around, and the brewers there. There's a description on the side. There's gentleman Matt Aliota, who's a super talented brewer of hop forward beers within BAM. He kind of talked with their lead brewer there. Just kind of decided upon the hops, kind of as the boil was going on, what the flame out hops were going to be. There were a couple of game day decisions that I think really worked out well.
Yeah, cool. That happens a lot, man. People will be surprised, I think, if you've never done a collab before, how on the fly and nebulous it can be.
Yeah, especially if it's just a one-off recipe. It doesn't have to be consistent across multiple batches for customers who have a flavor profile in mind. I remember, and I was very, very glad I did this. I talked the brewer into adding a sack of Carahel. Because initially it was 100% Pilsner malt with a little bit of corn sugar added in the boil. And he kind of came around the corner when he's like, "Hey, this sack of Carahel lying around. Maybe we should add it. We don't really have it for anything coming up." I was like, "Yeah, you should add some Carahel, add some body, add some malt character to it."
How many total sacks were in the beer?
I couldn't really tell you.
I'm just curious. Was it like 5, or is it more like 20, or
was it 15? So 15 or 15 barrels.
Okay, so one sack's not going to be like into a 5-barrel batch.
At 8%, I would think maybe a little under 2 sacks per barrel.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're looking at
a lot of Carahel still.
Yeah, so we're looking at close to 30 sacks.
Okay.
One of them being Carahel.
Yeah.
And then also some corn sugar added to the boil.
No, you got to do it.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's why this beer does not come across gigantic. It's got a big flavor, big aroma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a little warming, but it's not heavy like a barley wine or like a big the corn sugar. Yeah, you definitely dries out the body a lot.
Yeah.
It's dry, but it's also it's not paper thin.
No,
my gripe with a lot of modern IPAs and modern pale ales is there's kind of nothing there besides hops.
Yeah, I dislike the movement of base malt and that's it in a pale.
Yeah. Or just Pilsner malt, and that's the lowest colored Pilsner you can find. Not even if they use 100% Maris Otter, that'd be a different story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not known for my tremendous love of hoppy beers, but I find this one to be super drinkable, super enjoyable.
Yeah,
it's definitely, it's certainly not a celebration of malt, but the malt wasn't forgotten. So I'm grateful we were able to talk the guy into adding a little bit of character.
It's a good
malt.
idea. I think that the super dry West Coast IPA is in part a reaction to hazy IPA and a way to distinguish hazy IPA. Because hazy IPA has a big mouth feel and some malt character. And if you're trying to distinguish your West Coast IPA from that product, maybe you just want to go super low on malt and super big on hops, and bitterness, and that's the difference.
It also means, if you make an ultra pale, ultra delicate beer, you can use less hops to get the same amount of hop punch.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it is in part kind of like, I think, an economical decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did a sheet for the beer. Did you do a sheet, Brian? Did you fill it up?
I didn't have time.
Okay. I can just go through my notes real quick if you want.
Do it. Yeah. I didn't think we were judging it, but we were just talking.
I went for it. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I made a sheet for the beer, and it is I contributed a little bit to the label design and the description of it. So
cool. Yeah.
My full notes are a delicious, crisp West Coast double IPA.
Cool. Yeah. In the nose, I'm finding a pleasant citrusy, resiny, and kind of grapefruit like note. It's got some nice tropical hops in there too out front. There's a light little passion fruit note and some faint kind of pineapple-y notes in there, a little bit of lemon peel. Just a nice blend of hop characteristics. The malt is low but nicely bready. It combines with a light, smooth alcohol a bit. Moderate fruity esters, clean ale fermentation, no DMS or diacetyl. It's nice and clean in the nose. It's a really nice light yellow in color and brilliantly clear, just exceptionally clear. Head of mostly fine bubbles that retains itself quite nicely. White bubbles, and has some good hop lacing on the sides of the glass there too. Flavor-wise, the beer is pleasantly hoppy with notes of citrus, resin, and tropical kind of blending together. All meld together nicely and work well for the style. The alcohol is medium and smooth. It's noticeable enough, but it's quite clean, and it's not like too intense or high in the beer at all. It's just the finish is nice. It's semi-dry. It's not bone dry like some. Seems fairly well attenuated with a clean ale fermentation. Moderately fruity. A little bit of esters, but not crazy. And the balance is obviously to the hops. So bitterness is kind of medium and smooth, just, supporting, not like crazy old school or crazy modern. It's just enough to balance. So in the mouthfeel, I'm fond of medium light bodied, not light bodied, or, it's had some body to it. Like Steve was saying, very smooth, fairly easy to drink with style. It's just a light, smooth warmth coming in, and a little, it doesn't have very much bite at all. There's no astringency or harshness at all. Just very easy and crisp. Not very creamy or anything like that, but IPA shouldn't necessarily be that way. So yeah, overall impression, quite enjoyable as it is, with double IPA style, with nice hop choices for sure. And I didn't even look at the hop choices as I was tasting it, but Simcoe it gives you that nice kind of piney, resiny note, and the Rauchbier is going to, give you some tropical. Mosaic is kind of a nice player that can throw in some berry notes and fruity notes in there and mix in with those other hops. So it's quite a nice blend that you and Matt and everybody else that was there decided on. So kudos to that.
Yeah, came out nice. Yeah. I think very happy with this one.
I personally enjoy the modern dried out West Coast IPA, and I would enjoy tasting it if it was just a little bit more dried out in the finish, as there is a hint of sweetness in the end, I noted. But it's really nice as it is. And I think that body, if that's what you prefer in a double IPA, it's nice. Most of them want to keep it, even as out of the way. And I've just kind of gotten used to those, and I noticed that. So that was intentional, and that's cool. So, I would add maybe, you could do the same malt addition and maybe just do a little more sugar to dry it, get the dryness, but also have some malt flavor in there. But the yeast seemed like it attenuated what was there pretty nicely. And so it's very smooth despite the strength. I kind of landed at like 38, 39 for the spear. I think it's great. It's excellent. So
very good. I agree with everything you said.
That's my take.
I do too. And I was kind of going through and kind of scoring this a little bit as we went. And I landed like 38, 40 for this. And I really like the fact that it is malty without being a giant body beer that could only have one of these, right? Sometimes like in 2005, you have a double IPA that's not Pliny, and you might have one. You're like, I'm so full, I can't do anything. I'm going to go to bed now. Yeah. And this manages to have a lot of malt complexity and a lot of malt flavor while being really well attenuated, really easy to drink, and one that you might sit down and have a second one of, but you're not going to drive home afterwards.
Yeah. No, you're sleeping at the bar, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Bars love that.
Yeah, they do. That's what they exist for.
That's their favorite thing.
Yeah.
We had our little release party for this over the weekend. And there were a handful of us who were knocking back a few of these, and
there you go.
We were grateful for our designated drivers that evening.
Yes.
Yeah.
And having had my Czech dark lager, having had the Imperial Brown Ale, and now moving on to the double IPA, I'm grateful to already be at home.
Being at home is really nice a lot of the time.
See, that's what I'm telling you guys. Never leave your house. You'd be perfect.
Oh, I don't want to never leave my house, JB. I like being at my home when I'm at my home. It's great.
Yeah, me too. All right, Steve. Well, if that's it, I think we're done. I think we're done with you.
And congrats on.
See ya. Good riddance.
Yeah. Go finish writing your article,
brother.
You make Dr. Homebrew and Brewing Network history by being on the series finale of Dr. Homebrew.
I know. We know.
We we are happy and proud of you for becoming a beer judge, and I'm sure you'll do.
We'll see. Well. We'll see how my scores do.
We'll look forward to reading your article in the upcoming Zymergy, and you'll do great on that too. So thank you.
Congratulations to Bay Area Masters for. Yeah, as noted on this can, 35 years of brewing excellence in the Bay Area. So if any listeners happen to be interested in a little celebration of the Bay Area brewing history and beers to come,
Steve, for listeners in the Bay Area, would you have a website that listeners could go to learn more about your club?
Yes, we have BayAreaMasters.org is our club website.
Okay.
And come meet us on June 28th at the Rake at Admiral Maltings. I'll be there. A bunch of us are going to be there. I managed to get some discount codes for our members, so I can entice more of our members to be there.
Awesome.
So we'll have a good presence there. We're all over the place, though. Anywhere where there is a genuine, heartfelt appreciation of well crafted beer, we're there.
So you're in my living room right now?
There you go.
Yeah, there. I'm going to turn this around, and it's going to be Brian.
Oh, my
God. All right, cool. Well, Steve, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for being on the show and sending us beers and sitting through all this mess. I think we'll take a break, I guess, and we'll get Doug on if we can here. So hang on, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Now, back to the examination.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We have a new brewer on, Doug. Welcome back, Doug.
Thank you.
How you doing, man? It's been a while.
I am doing great. How are you?
Nice. You know what? I'm all right, man. I'm doing okay. But I'm reading the description on this beer we're about to drink from you, and I don't know how much longer I will be okay. This is an extraordinarily.
That assumes you're okay now, JP. Are you okay now?
And I think that we're going to have a hell of a time with this one, especially once people figure out what's in it. Should we discuss what's in it first, or should we drink it?
It depends. If you were doing this in a competition, you would have some information going into it. Right. Otherwise, you wouldn't know how to compare. You would have trouble knowing what you're judging it against.
Correct. Well, so this is Gose. It's a 34C experimental beer, but there's the experimental part is interesting. Cooper, what do you want us to do? Do you want me to read the description that Doug sent over first, or should we just jump into it?
Yeah, the description, as long as it meets what you would kind of put on a score sheet.
It's exactly what you would put in a competition.
On a competition entry. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Let's do that.
All right, well, here we go. It's called Coastal Drift, a modern SoCal twist on a classic Gose. Coastal Drift brings the ocean to the glass subtly. Local seaweed and Pacific clam juice replace traditional salt, adding a whisper of coastal minerality and natural umami. But don't let the ingredients fool you. This beer drinks like a true Gose, tart, refreshing, and beautifully balanced. It's a nod to Southern California's shoreline, not a trip to the tide pools. It's beautifully written by Doug.
Okay, but that's not what you'd put on a homebrew entry. You would say Gose with local seaweed and clam juice.
So a little backstory on this. In California, we have the Southern California Festival and we call it Fest, and they do a bragging rights beer at that event every year. And so they wanted us to do experimental beer, and they wanted us to give the story of why these ingredients were California-based ingredients. So we had to make an experimental that was, and so I really wanted to make something that could truly only exist as an experimental, not a spice, not a vegetable, but only an experimental. And so this is where I went.
Yeah.
I tell you,
Doug, are you in Southern California?
I am.
We're in SoCal.
In Redlands. If you go to Los Angeles, start driving to Palm Springs, we're the last thing you see before you get to a long stretch of nothing.
My grandparents lived in Desert Hot Springs for many years, and I know exactly where Redlands is. And I used to live right on the beach in Redondo and Huntington. So did you go to the beach and actually pull seaweed off the beach for this?
I did not. I locally harvested from a store that hired a professional company to harvest it for me.
Okay, good. Because that stuff on the beach is nasty and there's always flies on it. And I'm just like, maybe you boil it is probably fine when it is not terribly appetizing.
This is food.
Did you get your own clams out of the beach somewhere?
I mean, I know. It feels like we should be talking about this after we do the.
Yeah, we'll do it after. Sorry,
because I don't want to give you too much information as you taste it.
Brian, I'm a little tipsy already. Yeah, so what am I saying?
Brian's activated his chatterbox.
Did you forget how we do this show, brother?
How?
Yes, it's the series finale. It's all ass over tea kettle. It's all crazy.
Series finale. Everybody gets it.
I'm inspecting the bottle now. The bottle seems to have a good.
No, Shar goes first.
Good fill level.
Shar goes first.
God, okay. I do not have a score sheet, but I'm going to judge this live on this very special episode of Dr. Homebrew. So, Doug, thank you so much for sharing this. I really appreciate this. It's interesting. It's different, but it's still very Gose-ish, which I think is what you were trying to go for. You know, when I smelled the aroma here, you know, I definitely get a little bit of salt, which you expect from a Gose. I get a little fruit. I get like a little acidity, but this is not, you know, some Goses are almost bordering on being full-on sour beers. And that's not this beer. That's, you know, the guidelines talk about a very light, clean sea breeze character. And maybe because we're just talking about this beer and about, you know, its qualities, and maybe I'm talking myself into it, but I get a little light sea breeze character of this beer. So, you know, I think that's very well done. There's a little bit of malt, but this is more, the aroma to me is more about the fruitiness and the saltiness and the fermentation character. I give this an 8 for aroma. Appearance, 3 out of 3. You know, this is a Gose doesn't have to be crystal clear necessarily. This is crystal clear. It's funny, the appearance, actually maybe it's a little hazy. Hold this up to my screen. The guidelines say it can be moderate to full haze. There's a little haze, almost more like this is not a hoppy beer. This is almost like what you'd get, they call like a hop haze in like an IPA. I think it looks great. Carbonation looks good. Low head. It's very persistent. Yeah, given the number of bubbles, I call this effervescent. It's weird that in this style they have effervescent in appearance. Effervescent ought to be mouthfeel, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Get 3 out of 3. Flavor here. The guidelines talk about noticeable sourness, medium low to medium high. And the sourness is there. It's maybe a little bit lower than medium low, but I still like it, and I still think this is in the ballpark of Gose. And again, this is an experimental beer. This is not a Gose. This is an experimental beer. I don't know that I get bready malt flavor, but malt is there. Very low bitterness. I don't get a hop flavor. Definitely no THP. Right when I poured this, maybe we were talking about the beer overall. I was doing that retrograde inhalation over my tongue to kind of check for THP. And while I got maltiness, I didn't get the Cheerios. And that's kind of the Cheerios are like the signature of the THP. That's not there. It's a sit. I get acid. I get a little salt. We talked about the clams. I don't taste clams or clam juice. And I'm going to assume that's just part of the overall kind of salty, sort of light saltiness of this beer. Flavor, I give this like a solid 14. So that's good. Moving on to mouthfeel. The guidelines call for high to very high carbonation. And they repeat effervescent, which is funny that it's in mouthfeel and in appearance. Effervescent is not in appearance, guys. BJCP work on that for next time. This is high carbonation. I call it effervescent. Slightly tingly, mouth-watering quality from the salt. Maybe a slight tingle. It's not warming. It's not that kind of beer. It's I'd say it's more creamy than any, which is weird for a beer that's got acid and highly effervescent. This is not astringent at all. This is maybe slightly more on the creamy end of the spectrum, which is really kind of fascinating and bizarre. It could just be my perception. Maybe I'm tipsy. Well, there's no maybe about that. But I like that a lot. We gave that 5 out of 5 for a mouthfeel. And then overall impression, I give this a 7 for a total of 37. I think this is really nice. I appreciate the creativity. I like the fact that you had the seaweed and the clams and did not feel the necessity to make sure that we tasted every bit of the seaweed and the clams. Because the point was from what you were saying, the point was to give an impression of salt and of the ocean without going overboard. Having said that, maybe a little more of each one might be welcome, because they do get a little bit lost in the base beer. But overall, I love the concept. I think the implementation was really, really good. Especially for the first time ever doing this, it sounds like. And you might, if you want to do this again, you might fine tune it. But I'd say getting a 37 for an experimental beer with clam juice and seaweed is a really good score. So, Doug, thank you very much for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Coop. Follow that up.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Brian analyzed the beer nicely and on the fly. And I'm going to be doing somewhat the same here. But I think as it's declared, I keep looking for clam in the nose or in the flavor. And being that's a part of the special ingredient that's declared in the experimental, it's as well, clam juice is not something that I normally go out and drink either. So I think you get a little bit in like a michelada sometimes, but you're not going to really taste that, right? I mean,
you're not chugging that on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah. I don't drink Clamato or anything like that either. So yeah. But so yeah, aroma wise. And when Brian was talking too about like smelling salt, I think, can you smell salt? Like salt is one of the 4 or 5 flavors you get on your tongue. But then when you think about the ocean breeze and the description ocean breeze, the beer does suggest at kind of an ocean breezy kind of characteristic. And that could be like part of the clam element as well. I think it could be just like ocean water has a certain smell to it. I don't know that that's from the salt of the ocean water. I doubt it is primarily, but something about
I'm sure you're right. I mean, the ocean, I lived by the beach for many, many years, and I miss my Redondo Beach house sometimes, but it was there's an aroma that you get when you live around there, especially on a nice, not like some foggy, stagnant day, but a nice sunny day. And the wind is kind of coming up, and it reminds me of that.
Like a brine.
What we should all do
in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brininess in the air. What we should all do right now is just get two small glasses of water, dose one with salt and stir it up carefully. Have a partner or a significant other in the household switch them around for you and maybe label the bottom so they know which is which, and then see if you could determine just by smell which one had the salt in it.
And then you blend them.
I mean, if you
mix them together,
a salt, shaker under your nose, do you smell anything? I don't think so. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting lost in the weeds. It's terrible. The malt quality in this beer is really nice and just light, bready, backgroundy, a little weedy, grainy, just light. No real obvious hops. It does suggest fruitiness with the tart characteristics that are coming in the nose. Again, not getting any off aromas here. Like Brian didn't really get anything gnarly in there. It's real. Smells kind of like it goes as should. So, it hints at the tartness that's to come. When you think about the ocean breeze, yep. Oh, whoa, that was weird.
Said that.
You're good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Okay.
Just keep going.
So appearance, I thought the head was really amazing. I poured this thing, and it has this undulating, like rocky, artful looking head that suggests sea foam, and it's really beautiful, white.
Yeah.
That's the first time anyone's ever said undulating on the show, I believe.
It is. It has contours to it. It is literally like the ocean, and I love that. I give it 4 out of 3 for appearance.
There you go, man.
I'm changing my score right now. We're allowed to do that. Low haze, that's okay. Oh, I got to drop it back down to 3. Gose should have a fair amount of haze, and this says a little bit. It's okay. We'll forgive that. That's fine. And the color is nice. Just a nice, like, kind of straw, dark, deep straw color to the beer. And getting to the flavor, I really like the tartness level of this beer. I think that it works for, a Gose should not be all this overt tart like an aged sour. It's a freshly made, present drinking sour, and the balance of the beer. Part of the balance of the beer is that light tartness that's refreshing with the light saltiness that's not overdone, that combines with that to make the beer drinkable, but also you want another sip. Traditionally, I should mention too, okay, sorry. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'll go back. I'll go back to the clam character not being overt, and in the flavor, it's not overt here either. There is a hint of what I would call a faint umami character in the beer, but it's not like overly meaty, or it's like just like could be like something you would get from a little yeast. It's not. Oh wow, this reeks and tastes so strongly of clam juice. It does not at all. So I'm kind of surprised that I like this beer, because I was not looking forward to drinking it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the balance is that fine tune between the light tartness and the saltiness with a little bit of malt, and it just dries off your palate. Very, very nice and dry in the finish. No hops, just pleasant, light, grainy malt that doesn't fight with anything, and a really good summer quenching beer. Mouthfeel wise, I kind of agree. It's right where it should be. High CO2 was achieved in the bottle. Nice light body, no warmth. It's crisp and easy drinking. So yeah, I think that the beer. I need to find out whether it has any coriander in it or not, because it should have a little coriander, but I'm not getting that. So for style, I would look for that, and I'd probably drop it a couple of points or more if it doesn't have that key element. It's gonna have some minor. It's gonna fall outside the style parameters for that. But as it is, it's an experimental beer, so I can embrace it and say, well, it goes without that. That's not declared. There's no coriander declared. They declared the Gose and the local seaweed. Now, as for seaweed, that could be part of what's contributing to that sea aroma that you do get, and that's in there. I don't think you need more seaweed. You could probably get away with more clam juice in the beer to get a little more umami, but you'd have to be careful with that to avoid it being overly noticeable and fishy or clammy or fighting with the other elements there. You don't want that, but if you declare it like that, you want the hint of that. So I really like the beer as it is, but I do have to knock it down just a couple points for the coriander, and maybe somehow the clam is just not coming through, and I'm struggling to get it other than a light umami. So I landed at a 36. I think the beer is quite enjoyable as it is, and the description is really artful and fun, and it invites you to drink it even if you're afraid of it. And I think it's a very good beer. That's where it falls in style guidelines, or in the scoring guide. I'm sorry, very good scoring territory, I think, for both of us. So yeah.
I would agree with all of that. I think when Shar said that it needs more of both, I kind of agreed, but then thinking about it and listening to what you were saying, Coop, I don't know that this beer would benefit from more clam juice.
Right.
I think it could possibly benefit from more seaweed, because as you said, if it's stated in there, then I want to taste it. The clam juice, I think it's just there. I think it's fun. It's sometimes a beer doesn't have to be, all, strict and, well, it's stated, so therefore whatever. And I know that it's a show about judging, and so therefore that kind of falls by the wayside. But, in general practice, you could put clam juice in here and you don't have to taste it, but it's represented in the salt, and that's fine. I think for what it is, what you're trying to evoke, I think it's totally fine to not taste clams.
Yeah.
Also, what do clams taste like? You know what I mean? They're a little salty. They're a little, it tastes like a loogie. That's kind of it, right? But I think the predominant flavor that you would want in this beer would be a seaweed aspect. So if you were going to do this again, I would keep everything the same, but bump the seaweed up 20%, see what happens. I'd be curious to see how it tasted. I would also be curious to see if that flavor lasted a month or 2 months. You know what I mean? Some flavors kind of disappear over time, some faster than others. I would be curious just to see what that is. But I think this is a fantastic beer. It's a very tart beer. I've never had a Gose that's really this sour. Usually they're a little less so for me. I think with the ones I've had maybe 12, maybe in my entire life, maybe that. So I would probably shoot. I don't know. That's the hard part, right? Like, it's experimental, and you're saying these things are in here, but they're hard to taste. So therefore you'd have to get knocked down. But yeah, 36, 37. I think it's a great beer. And the head retention is amazing. You could build a house on this thing, man. It is incredible. So
would you add coriander? Either of you?
I don't know.
No. As it warms up, I get more sourness, and I get a little bit more clam.
As it warms up, I get kind of a coriander thing. And by the way,
I get a little coriander, which is plenty.
coriander has a lemony quality to it anyways. I put a little bit like ground coriander in my barbecue rubs, like for chicken and shit like that. I think it just kind of like makes it pop a little bit. There's a little brightness to it. And so I get that out of here. Like if you told me there was coriander in here, but yeah, okay, for sure.
The beer is lemony and has a little
spice. Yes, right. I think it's a great beer. Doug, can you do us a favor and give us your recipe?
Sure. Before I do, everyone mentioned that it wasn't hazy like a beer that's 50% wheat should be. And I agree. Turns out, seaweed and oyster juice definitely acts as a fining agent.
A clarifier.
My God,
it's
Irish
a massive
moss, right?
clarifier. So it came out of the fermenter.
Oh my God,
extremely clear, and then it just kept getting more.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, you wouldn't think it, but it's all perfect. In fact, I actually entered this in a competition, and I didn't want to stick it as an experimental, so I just entered it as a Gose, and I didn't want to not tell the judges that there was possible allergens in it. So under the allergens, instead of saying it had clam juice and seaweed, I said has fining agents, which may contain seaweed and shellfish.
Goldfish.
Yeah.
Nice. No, Shar, you mentioned Irish moss, and I've been holding on to this information for like 3 weeks. I bought some Irish moss at fucking Lowe's to like see if I could plant it in my garden. It is not a moss.
Really?
What is not a moss? It is in the carnation family.
No shit.
Yeah. What do you fucking think of that, man? It blew my mind. Because I was looking
blowing
like,
my mind right now.
I'm like, whoa.
Boom.
Yeah, so it's just like a low growing like flower, basically. It's not a moss.
What's the fighting agent that's a seaweed thing? Is that like a carrageenan?
Whirlflock.
Yeah.
Whirlflock has
Whirlflock. That's the one. That's the one.
Carrageenan, I think, is what it is.
But no, carrageenan. You can, but also there's the one that isinglass. It's from the swim bladders of fish, certain fish. Yeah.
All of that apparently is a great finding agent, and so this beer was destined to be clear.
All kinds of weird shit out of the ocean makes your beer clear.
It was 52% wheat, 48% Pilsner. Very simple.
And it's that clear at 52% wheat?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I should
amazing.
I should note that the beers you're drinking were brewed on February 24th.
Okay.
So they're maybe a little past their prime, but I don't know. It's hard to the style.
It's a little over 3 months. That's not too bad.
Somebody out there's going to start a subreddit of clarifying your beer with clam juice and seaweed additions.
Well, I wonder if that's why we're not getting clam juice and seaweed as much as we should.
You're not getting clam juice because clams have no flavor. You said this on the show the other day. They're just it's salt. That's all you should. If you're getting, because there's no salt in this beer.
Interesting.
The only salt you're getting is from the seaweed and the clam juice. And if I had to do this beer again, I probably would not do the clam juice because I think the seaweed was the real powerhouse of what made this beer what it was.
Yeah.
And on that said, if I was to do another Gose, I would not use salt. I would use seaweed because I think it was so easy to balance. I just put the seaweed in at the sparge. So I don't want to overdo it. So I brewed the whole batch. 60 minutes of mash at whatever temperature I did, 66 degrees Celsius.
There you go.
Some temperature. Yep.
Yeah,
so an hour 66, and then as I pulled the grain up, I laid the seaweed on top and I sparged on top of it.
Was it like those rectangles of seaweed that are kind of salty? Yeah, my daughter and my stepdaughters all love that stuff for a snack. I like it too. It's really salty, and it tastes good. And it's so thin. I can see you could easily lay out like an entire package on the top of your malt, top of your mash.
It was one sheet,
and just sparge right on it.
It was crazy. It was 7 grams.
Interesting.
Okay.
So you got like a big sheet,
and then the clam juice was treated. I basically just put it in a flame out. I wanted it to be in there long enough because it was not a pasteurized product. So I wanted to have it in there long enough to ensure that I wasn't causing some kind of foodborne illness.
Salmonella.
Don't want that. I used for the first time, I used a lactobacillus blend, OYL605, and it kettle soured for about 2.5 days. And it actually over soured from where I was trying to shoot. I think I was trying to shoot for like a 3.4, 3.5, and it dropped down to a 3.2.
As it warms up, it's definitely more acidic.
Yeah.
When everything was said and done, it did not strike. It's the balance for me. I thought the tartness was as good as any Gose I've ever had. It's funny because if I'm saying this correctly, Shar thought it was not sour enough. Brian, you thought Cooper, you thought it was Goldilocksing, and Jason, I think you said that it was too sour.
Yeah. Well, what I said was I hadn't had a Gose this sour before. I don't think it's too sour. I think because it's an experimental beer, but if it was under Gose, I think I might say it's too sour. But I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. The only Goses I've had are from homebrewers going, "Is this a Gose?" question mark. So, I think it's. I mean, it tastes like a sour beer to me.
To me, it came out as a firm tartness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not to like Berliner Weiss, but it's getting towards that a little bit.
Yeah,
I think it's great for a Gose. Like I said, for me, I pulled this out of the fridge too soon before we drank this, and I think the coldness masked some of the sourness for me. As it warmed up, it definitely got to a point where I think this is I like this level of sourness in a Gose personally.
I do too. Yeah,
it's not biting, and there's enough other characterful things here that the sourness is balanced out by the other elements. So
yeah, for sure.
I think I did have plans on. So originally, I thought I was going to need to add salt. I thought I was going to bring salt in with a tincture, because I didn't think that I was going to get from just that little bit of sparging on the seaweed and the little bit of I did 30 milliliters of clam juice, which is not that much. And then I threw Whirlflock in because apparently I didn't realize that there was no need for Whirlflock because I just brought an army of fighting agents into this beer. But I was actually, my original plan was I wanted this to look like a sunset. So I was going to add butterfly pea flour to turn it purple.
Okay.
And I was going to put the salt in. And then when I was tasting it, and I was figuring out how much salt to add, I'm like, there's no salt to add. I can't add. So I decided that the only reason I would be doing the tincture would be for the coriander, because my concern about making it purple was it smells like the ocean. It tastes like a Gose, but it smells like the ocean. It smells like a pier. And I thought if I turned it purple and then I gave people an aroma that is pier-like, that could turn the brain sour, and then they might not enjoy the beer just because of the color. So I decided not to go with the color. And then it was like, am I really going to put coriander in?
My brain's gone sour.
Actually, you know what? Now that I'm looking at my recipe, that would have been in the flame out. I think I did put the coriander in there.
Yeah, I get coriander.
I think I did put coriander in there. Now that I'm looking at my recipe, because I thought that was part of the tincture, but no, that was in the flame out. I did put. But it was only 10 grams in 5 gallons, 6 gallons in the kettle. And then water profile was very balanced. So basically I brought my sulfate to 50. So my sulfate chlorides, I went for a very balanced chloride to sulfite ratio.
Like a 1-to-1.
Yeah, 1-to-1. And I just brought it up enough. So what I typically do if I'm going for balance, I just add enough. My source water starts at like 24 parts per million, and
in Redlands,
yeah. And
what's is that on your tap, or do you have to get that somewhere?
No. So we're really lucky here in Redlands. So we have 2 water sources. One is above ground, one's below ground, and they both have almost identical sulfate, and both of them have the sulfate and chloride right in the 20s. And they're like,
so you get like the snow runoff from like Wrightwood, and
so that's the surface water. The surface water is snow runoff, and then the well water is coming from surface water that's absorbed into the ground. So it's we're very fortunate with our water because it's not RO, but I have to build up the sulfate chloride just a little, and overall I'm able to play with that and still keep my calcium under I didn't want the
Yeah,
calcium.
I'd have thought Redlands, you're like right by the desert. I mean, you're like desert hot springs, Indio, like adjacent. Thinking, man, your water's got to be terrible. That's great water.
Yeah, we're right below Big Bear, so our
Nice.
runoff water is pretty good.
Nice.
I think I told you. And Safe Ale. So I just kettle soured, and then I did it with Safe Ale, and it's 4% beer. It's a 4.2% beer, 9 IBUs, finished at 10:07. So
fantastic.
As a Gose goes, it's not my favorite
Mhm.
style, but I enjoyed this Gose more than several professionally brewed Goses I've had. So
nice.
I think if I brewed this again, I would do the seaweed and and I think I would just call it a Gose and just bring in seaweed.
Yeah.
Dude, this would I think this would be my house summertime beer. You can put a little cucumber in there, maybe. You can throw it around with a little bit of watermelon juice. Like you could go a lot of different ways with this. It's great. It's a great base.
Yeah. I think I would judge better as a straight Gose than a experimental. So yeah, just do that.
Yeah, it did.
I agree.
And not that anyone cares, it did not win at Fest. Another one of my buddies, a friend of mine, he brewed a pineapple pizza, a Hawaiian pizza beer, and he took the prize at Fest. So shout out to Lou.
Okay.
Okay, I respect the creativity.
I would love to.
I'm curious. I'd be curious how he made that.
So
maybe like with sausage spices
cured
and
meats in it. Yeah.
Well, there's no sausage in Hawaiian pizza. Sorry, you gotta.
Come on, Char.
You got it's Canadian bacon and pineapple.
Canadian bacon.
Oh yeah.
Also, I have to throw a shout out to one of the ladies in my club, Mandy, because internally it was neck and neck, and the club said her salsa. She had a salsa beer. She said that, and the club unanimously, they decided that hers was better, and then she believed in mine, and so she stepped aside graciously, and I let the club down. So I have to shout out to me because I think,
you know what, you guys both had some creative ideas. I'd love to hear more about that salsa beer, but you want to talk about things that represent California? You got the ocean and ocean ingredients, and you got salsa, and that's a great. It's hard to pick between those two.
Sure, I'm going to tell her to brew. I'm going to tell her to brew that beer again, and then send it in to you and get on the show.
I'll drink any beer she wants to send me.
There you go. All right, let's do this Rauchbier.
Oh yeah, let me fill mine up.
All right.
A little bit of a creeper here, but that's all right.
Do we need to do a commercial break at all, JP?
No, man.
Okay.
Nope. We're gonna ride this bitch to the end.
You guys keep saying this is the season finale. I mean, you've only had like 6 episodes this year. What's going on?
It's a very special episode of Dr. Homebrew, and you get to be on it.
It's true.
I can't wait to hear what happened in the previous session.
Yeah. Well, there was a falling out, and we all we got into a knockdown, drag out war, and it was about flaws.
Who was better looking?
No, it was about flaws in the beer, and we all argued that JP's beer was horribly flawed, and then he told us all to F off.
Wait, did you submit a beer?
No.
I just made that up.
Wow.
No, I haven't brewed like
can't
6
believe
months.
anything you say. All right.
I made a beer with cocoa nib shells and shit like that. It was brown. It was okay. It was fine. And then I haven't touched it in 4 months. It's still in the keg. I just don't care anymore. I don't really drink so much anymore. I'm drinking a lot of field work, IIPA, non-alcoholic.
I was going to grab some of that at Costco a week ago, and I did. They were out. They were totally sold out.
Jason, January's over.
Online.
You know that, right?
Order online.
Are you going for health? Are you moving non-alcoholic?
I find I don't care about alcohol anymore. I don't care about it, but I want to taste a beer every once in a while.
Okay.
It's just kind of the thing. I'm like, I'm just stopped. I don't know. I just don't really drink. My wife's like, you want to open some wine? I'm like, no, not really.
No.
Oh, good for you.
And like in general,
not really.
Myself, I
had a great profession
compared to 10 years ago. I drink a whole lot less than I did 10 years ago because it was a bad coping mechanism for being married to my ex-wife.
Yeah.
It was, and I got separated. Like, well, I'm going to drink. I probably still drink a little more than I should, but I drink a quarter of what I used to drink 10 years ago.
When I was still working at corporate America, the last couple of years I was there, it was very stressful. And I would come home every night and I would just, put down, and I would just start and finish with bourbon or scotch. And,
you do what you got to do.
No ice. And so now if I have a couple beers, I can't even have a single whiskey. My body just immediately says, oh, okay, we want to be drunk, and just forgets everything that happened for the rest of the night.
Yeah, ain't that the way, man?
Yeah. Humans are weird creatures.
I guess I kind of feel better. Like I've always had this thing where every once in a while, occasionally I'll have like half a beer and I'll have a headache and I just won't feel great. And I'll just be like, this is fucking stupid, dude. Why do I? And so, that kind of put me off, but I find grabbing this non-alcoholic beer, I get the same feeling. I get the same taste. I get the same whatever. Not that I don't drink beer, but I probably have maybe 2 beers a week now.
After you have the Rauchbier, you're going to want to find a non-alcoholic Rauchbier.
Yeah,
probably. I love smoke beer so much. It's one of my favorite styles, and I'm disappointed that most people don't like it.
I can't wait to tell you the backstory about why I made this beer. But I'm going to do it after you guys, because I don't want to taint. I don't want to put any smoke in the room.
All right, there you go. We want to blow smoke up our asses. Cooper,
what did I do?
Let's go, brother. You are the man.
Oh man,
you're rounding out the show, baby.
We're judging a 6B Rauchbier, and this is basically a beechwood smoked German Märzen, as the style calls it. And so, go back to our show where we interviewed Matthias from Schlenkerla. Do yourselves a favor and listen to that 2-hour show.
What an amazing show.
Of doing another 2-hour show. That's the finale. But to me, that was the finale. We could have hung our hats up then and just said, okay, that was the greatest show phenomenal ever. And we can't top it. So we just have to hang up our hats, I guess.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm smelling this Rauchbier, and there's a bug crawling on my score sheet. All right. Open up the beer, had a nice hiss, good fill level. In the nose, it's richly malty with it does have a nice Märzen-like quality to the malt, kind of a dark Munich-like quality to it. It's very clean, nice lager. The smoke is pleasant and woody. It's not harsh or sharp or bacony or campfirey. It's just right in the right territory where it should be. It's medium low, just kind of nicely in balance with the style. Not too rich or anything there. It's very harmonious. The beer, again, cleanly lagered. I'm not getting any off DMS, diacetyl, anything else. Not too much sulfur. Low to no fruity esters. The beer, it has a nice, rich kind of reddish brown color, with very cream colored head with fine bubbles, retained very well formed head. The beer is nicely clarified. It seems like it's brilliant in clarity, but it's fairly dark. But that's just to give it that nice reddish hue and highlights to it, which is great. So it's on the darker end for style, but that's fine. I'd give it a 3 out of 3 for appearance. And getting into the flavor, it's again, that nice, clean, low smoke just floats on the slightly sweet and rich Munich malt. You get the Märzen style underneath, and nice lager character, bread crust like dark bread. Again, kind of a nice woody, smooth smoke like you get from the Beechwood smoked malts from Bamberg. The beer is fairly dry. It's as it should be. It's nicely attenuated, with again a clean fermentation profile. balance is falling toward that smoked malt, but there is enough bitterness and flavor from a little bit of hops to balance that out. Kind of a nice medium low bitterness, and I think the smoke contributes some of the impression of bitterness here too, but it's not too much. Low kind of floral herbal hop in there with it flavor wise. Say the malt and that light smoke lingers in the aftertaste nicely. It's not a long finish because it's so dry, but it does dry off, and the malt stays for a little bit, and then the smoke lingers, but not in a rough way. It's really really nicely done on that. That finish is really nice, and the aftertaste is very pleasant. It's really easy to overdo the smoke in these beers, and this is not the case here. So 16 out of 20 for flavor. This beer has medium light body, fairly medium high carbonation. It's fairly well carbonated, and I would say it's also just a bit creamy and smooth. There's no obvious warmth here. I'm not getting any astringency. I think biting is just kind of where it should be. It feels, the beer should be pretty light and drinkable like a lager is. It feels substantial for some reason. It does not, it drinks medium light, but it feels more medium, I guess, in some ways, because there's so much going on here. And you get a little bit of I think that there's something about the phenolics in the smoke that linger on your tongue and gives just a little bit of a light, leathery feeling or something. But again, it's not harsh. It's just smooth, and it just kind of coats your tongue a little bit. You feel it, and it lingers. And I'm glad we had this beer second for that reason. The Gose would have been like, okay, let's change gears. So here we are drinking this one. Overall impression, I think this is a really nice Rauchbier. It has, all the elements you would want in a really nice lager, and you can taste the lager style. You can taste that Märzen. You can tell that the brewer did a nice lagering to it, aged out, all those early fermentation things that come up and need to be smoothed out without leaving too much sulfur or any diacetyl or anything in the beer. And the smoke's not covering anything up; it's just accenting. So, like the malt that you used and the recipe is very good. So, yeah, I found the balance of this beer pretty incredible. I think I was landing at like 41. I think I'll just go to 42 just for fun. So, this is a tasty beer, and I think all in all, it's harmonious. Although it's on the dark side for the style, I like it where it's falling right now, and it's a rich Märzen. It's like a dark Märzen, but it's really beautiful, really enjoyable. Thank you.
Very good. All right, Shar. Let's go.
I largely echo what Coop said. I'm not going to go and march through the entire score sheet. I'm just going to talk about a couple things that really kind of stood out for me.
You gave it a 20, didn't you?
No, I put this in the low 40s range, and is it 20? It's a 13. Come on, it's a courtesy 13.
Courtesy 45.
Courtesy 45.
Barely drinkable.
No, to me, I'll be curious what kind of smoked malt you used. So I get like a real cherry wood character to this, and which when Coop was talking about the redness, I was thinking cherry wood before he said that, and I'm like, I think this might be at least in part a cherry wood smoked beer because it's got a unique flavor. I get some of that, and I really love the fact. Look, I love Schlenkerlaw. Like Coop was saying, that show with Matthias. Listen if you haven't; it's amazing. Schlenkerlaw is amazing beer. That is like eating or drinking like you have to drink a full one of those before you can taste the actual beer. It's so smoky. This is really harmonious in a way that very few Rauchbiers are, especially homebrewed Rauchbiers. Right? Because homebrewers, we want to push the limit. We want to, if we're making a smoked beer, we're going to make it the smokest smoked beer of all time, and we want to push the whole thing. This was really harmonious, and I think more than most smoked beers I've ever had, the smoke character was really integrated with the malt aroma and with the malt flavor. And that's why I'm wondering if it was cherry wood. Again, we'll discuss that a little later. There's no off aromas or flavors that I got. I mean, everything about this was really smooth. I agree with Coop. In that this beer it's well attenuated, but the perception of body somehow is that it's really like medium to medium high. That's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just an observation, which there's nothing about the taste of this beer that'll make you think, oh, it's not fermented. It's not attenuated. It's heavy. I get a really big mouthfeel out of this beer. It tastes like a lager. It's Märzening. I want to get to the details of this with you because I really like this.
I wonder if it's alcohol strength that's contributing to that body. Like if it could be on the higher end for alcohol style. I didn't really comment on that myself, but I wonder where you feel like the alcohol.
I saw Doug's eyebrows go up. I think that might be it. And I'm a little tipsy. Okay, I'm a lot tipsy right now. So if this is more alcohol, I don't know.
It's probably right down the middle then.
I would put this, I would, Coop, I'd be right with you. I'd be right on like the 40-ish range with you.
Yeah. I'm watching Doug's eyebrows now. They're not doing anything. So
I want to hear about the Doug. Thank you for
He's giving us his poker face there.
Oh man. You want to see my Brezhnev eyebrows? There you go. Yeah, I want to hear about this recipe. Thanks for sharing this beer. I really like it.
Oh. Yeah, before we get to that, let me just jump in. I like the beer. Also, the first sip I had, I was like, wow, that smoke was really there. And then it kind of, the second one was like, oh, I miss it. It wasn't as like smoky, but I think that's fine. I think it could have maybe a little more carbonation. I don't know. It's hard to pick nits on this beer. It's very good. I would go 42. That's my pick.
JP, taste and smell are like a differential sensor, and you taste or smell something and it's less intense the next time. And that's because it's not as much of a difference from what your state was before as the first time.
Yeah.
And that's why Jamil always says that he's right. And I do this in competitions. Jamil's almost always right. What are we talking about? Yeah. When he's like, if you are having a hard time smelling stuff at a comp, open up your shirt and smell yourself.
Smell the cotton, smell
your body aroma, smell the cotton, smell anything, and then go back to the beer, because then you're going back to a differential from something totally not beer to beer. And taste is the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think the beer is definitely like Brian said, it's dry and the impression of body is coming from somewhere else, and we're trying to figure that out. But to me, it wasn't like heavy body. It was just like, toward medium and fairly full feeling, even though I can tell it's dried out properly and well attenuated.
Very well said. That's exactly what I would. I would. Coop said that better than I did, and I totally agree with him.
But it might be just the malt. So we'll see what the recipe
is. Let's let Doug tell us his recipe. What do you think?
So, thank you for your great comments, by the way. As a avid participator of the MHP, I love the fact you just gave me 3 42s. So close.
Well, so close to what?
So 43 is a marker. So I've achieved a rank where anything lower than a 43 doesn't help me move forward. So,
wait, Doug, I checked my math. I'm a 43 for you.
I don't know if they will take your score sheet. In the group.
My verbal score sheet over the air and Dr. Homebrew, my verbal score sheet for you, my friend, is a 43.
But no, a lot of MHPers out there be like, oh, the 42s. No, so in February, I had the honor of going to Bamberg with a buddy of mine.
Wow.
Who's an avid brewer. He does, his name's Nick Templeton. He's am I allowed to see the last names here? Well, I just doxed him.
You're fine.
You are.
You care.
We don't care.
So he does consulting for Four Generals up in Washington. And so we went out. I got the honor of going out there, and we did tours and we did all this stuff. Well, he had brought a bottle of his smoked beer and we sat down with Special and Schrankla, and after going to their breweries, and we sat down with bottles we got, very, very, very from them, and we tasted his bottle. And his bottle, we all decided that the Special is more of a, they call them a Marzen, but they're really not Marzens. There's, at least in Bamberg, they're not Marzens. Which is why when I compete with this beer, I will never call it a Rauchbier. I'm always going to call it a smoked dunkel, because
interesting.
Because a lot of judges, they hear Marzen, and if you look at the PJCP guidelines, it says that the Bamberg versions are much darker than a standard Marzen, but no one ever reads that line. So they mark you down for being dark.
So they're more of a dunkel in Bamberg, you're saying?
So when we were at Schrankla, it was very, very much a dunkel, and it was a heavy smoked dunkel. And when you went to Special, it was very much a lighter smoked Vienna. And so
that's interesting.
So I took my buddy's recipe, Nick, and because we tasted his was very, very close to Special. It wasn't dark and rich and meaty, like, not meaty, but hearty.
Bacony.
No, hearty, like thick. Cooper, you kept talking
Beefy.
about the Munich. I have 21% dark Munich in this beer. So
I was getting some very like dark Munich, It's
37% Pilsner, 37% smoked malt, 21% Munich, and then the rest is Carafa. But I hold the Carafa back until basically I bring my temperature up to mash out, and then I toss it in for color, and I don't want any conversion out of it. I don't want any acridness from it.
You succeeded there. That's cool.
So you will be really surprised to hear that this started at its life at 10:51, finished at 10:14. Not as dry as you would imagine. For a 4.86 alcohol with a 25.8 IBU. But I've competed once with this so far, and I got a gold at Mayfair, and
nice.
I did not get a 43, but I got close. I think it was a 40 or a 41. I think it was 40. But that was my first batch. So this is the second batch. For some reason, it just strikes me as a little darker and a little smokier than the last batch, but it was the exact same recipe. So I think it's a game that's being played with my mind. But I think I've mentioned all the highlights of this beer. The type, Char, you asked what type. It is Weyermann's smoked beech.
Okay, so there's no cherry wood. Okay.
Yeah, so there's no cherry. But I see where you're getting that, because following my friend's recipe, it is intentionally smoked in such a way to balance the malt. So when I took his recipe, I brought the smoke up just a little bit, because I also took the Munich up a little bit, because I wanted to take mine from where his was, which is very close to Special, which is like a smoked Vienna, and I wanted to bring it closer to Schrankla, but I didn't want to go all the way full throttle Schrankla, because if you've been to Schrankla, it's aggressive. It's dark, it's rich, but because it's so rich, it can support all that smoke they put into it.
What's interesting, because it's and I get how the beechwood and the malt could give a cherry wood impression. And like our friend Kevin Pratt, years ago, had a homebrew store in Sacramento. And I remember he would literally smoke his own malt. He had like a smoker out in the back of the shop, and you could smoke it with 5 different kinds of wood. And my first cherry wood smoked beer I had was one that he had homebrewed. I remember, and that flavor is very distinctive. And I get that from this beer, but I also get that can be a combination of like a beechwood smoke with malt. And
the sweetness, I think it's the sweetness from the Munich. That's
or maybe a little bit of a combination of the debittered malts with that the Carafa.
And then
I didn't think it was entirely cherry wood, but I thought there was maybe some in there. That's really interesting.
If anyone cares, it's 2-to-1 chloride to sulfite. I kept the calciums under 126, and
you're trying to emphasize malt over hops.
I really want to. I don't want it to come across as crisp. because if you've been to Bamberg and you've had Friconian beer, crisp is not a defining characteristic. It's
I want to get to Bamberg.
It's so good.
I'm so jealous of you, man. I'm so envious that you had that awesome trip. How cool is that?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I think 16 IBUs. So I kept the IBU. I didn't want the IBUs to be fighting. I didn't want any. I honestly didn't want any a hop flavor. I didn't want any hop.
It's not sweet. It's not sweet, but the bitterness is low.
Yeah, bitterness is 16.5. This is really low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the color is 16.
And you're saying Franconian beer tends to be, malty. It's not a German Pilsner, not a firm bitterness, but it's more malt focused.
I mean, if we're talking about my takeaways from Bamberg, one of the things that I noted, and it was not, and as I say this out loud, I don't want this to come across as a negative, because it is a beautiful characteristic, but almost all the Helles and the lager. So they just, you want lager, or you want, if you go to the smoke beers, this is the lager. And then you have a Helles. But all the Helles had, and I can't quite put my finger on it exactly what the character was, but my limited vocabulary, I think somehow they have found a way to capture just a hint of DMS and a hint of sulfur that balances around this really it's well attenuated, but it's got some character, it's got some body in the lagers.
Interesting.
And the only thing I can in my infantile brain with this category is I think it might have something to do with the fact that doing the I'm going to say this wrong, and JP, you're going to have to edit this out. Rauchbier?
I'm not going to edit shit out.
So the purity laws.
2 hours of you just saying that word.
So
the Rauchbier.
Yeah, the Rauchbier. So the purity laws, they can't legally add CO2. So to capture the CO2, they have to spund at the end, which means they can't do an aggressive diacetyl rest. So again, all I know, and I'm not saying that what I'm saying is right. I'm saying that there's something there. It's a hint of this. It's a hint of that. I think it's a little sulfur. I think it's a little DMS, and I think it's beautiful.
The spunding does add a flavor component to the beers. I've tasted a couple beers from some American breweries who do that as well. And they've part of the reason they do it is to save money on like CO2, but the other reason is because it does add some kind of component, because whenever you're off gassing during ferment, you're losing, aromatics.
Yeah, I would think sulfur primarily.
Yeah, sulfur primarily, but there's other stuff too, right?
But yeah,
and I will tell you that that a Helles in Franconia, Bamberg Franconian Helles, is not a Munich Helles.
No.
It's not inferior. They're different. But we went to enough breweries that I can tell you it was consistent.
Yeah.
Nice.
What I like is that the smoke character just comes from that yeast from the smoked beer, and they repitch it in the Helles and get that nice balance of really light smoke to
I have a Helles,
the delicate Helles style.
I have a Helles on right now that's was pitched on the yeast from a Rauchbier.
Cool.
So
nice.
It is
great.
it's a kiss of smoke. You have to know it's there to be able to spot it.
That's going to be awesome.
I love that. Well, what do we think? I mean, we have no real, advice for Doug. I don't think Doug needs our advice.
Keep brewing.
Good. Yeah.
You're going to get that 43, man. But what I'm going to take away from this is next time I'm judging and I have a score sheet that's a 42, I'm going to give it that courtesy 43. Because somebody might be in that program and need that 43. I'm going to bump it up that 1 point from 42 to 43 and make sure it's
sure. I'm going to go on the record right now, and I'm going to tell you that if you're going to give someone a 42 or a 37, give them a 36 or a 41. 42's hurt. 41 is like, okay, I got work I have to do. But a 42 is painful if you're in the MHP. And there's another category where it 38's the mark. So So 37s hurt, 36s don't hurt so bad. So I'd rather get, but still give me the gold. I still want the gold.
Okay, my head hurts now, but I'm gonna, I will do my best to help all home brewers everywhere.
There you go.
Your second batch of this beer is excellent, and I would enter it in some competitions, and I hope you get some 43s or higher. So
I expect I expect this is a beer that just needs the right judge. It's
yeah, not us, asshole.
No, JP. My point is, it's kind of like I have some other beers that are very. They'll get like 28 or 44. Like it depends on the judge's interpretation of the beer.
Oh yeah,
and it's such a wide range. So I think smoke beers and wood beers. I've judged tables with smoke beers category, and I've had 4 judges sitting around me, and I've heard every layer from the same beer of this needs more smoke to this is ungodly too smoked from the judge at the table. So it really comes down to what the judge, if your beer is well, I'm a firm believer that we're not actually competing for beers. We're competing for packaging. So if your beer is well packaged and you get the judge who likes that beer, you're probably going to do pretty good eventually.
We totally agree. We've talked about that before. And having said that, talking about judging, you send us all a copy of your book. And before we're done, and before we happen to walk off without talking about your book, why don't you tell us about your book?
So the BJCP Exam Success, a Practical Study Guide, available on Amazon and only on Amazon. I tried to get into the libraries, but apparently that's harder than you think. So let me just kind of take a step back. Another shout out to Brian Cooper, who, when I went to study for the BJCP about a year and a half ago, I struggled finding materials. I'm a believer in, go research and get your data and pull your stuff. And I struggled to find, other than just the stuff that's on the BJC website, which is, which was written probably 30 years ago and hasn't been updated and is not great. I mean, it's good for what it is, but doesn't help you understand what the test is, why the test is, and how to kind of manage it. So I started reaching out to people online, and I reached out to Brian, and he was.
So I sent you my class in a bag, basically. Here's everything.
He sent me all the videos from a study group he did during COVID. So it was on Zoom. It was really helpful. He also let me send him score sheets, and then he gave me some feedback on here's what you're doing right, here's what you're doing wrong. Very, very valuable. But I really had to struggle to find that information. And so as I started, I ended up, I didn't get to national level, which was my goal. I came a couple points shy. So I'm going to retake that test and see if I can't get there. But I started thinking there should be tools out there for people who want to take the tasting exam. And so as I started to prepare for myself for the next pass, I started writing down my thoughts on how to refine my process. And as I did that, at first I put together like a little 4 or 5 page thing that, people said, hey, I'm studying for the thing. What should I do? And I was sending it out to people, and I was just, sending it out through DMs and emails and stuff. And then I started, putting some thought into it. I'm like, well, what if I made this something that's a little more formal and a little more robust? And I have just enough OCD that when I set down a quest, I go in a little too deep. And so
is there ever just enough OCD? I mean, you need to have a little, if you have a little, then you want to have more and more.
Well, truth be told, it's actually not OCD. It's the other one. It's attention deficit. What was it?
You and I probably have the same thing.
It's attention deficit. They called it so many things over the years. But anyways, if I fixate on something, I lock in. That's the point.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time putting this book together. And and I have to say that at the end, I had like a couple iterations ago, I sent off a copy, and a shout out to Mike Dixon, I believe his name is, at the BJCP, because he read it and he went through and he gave me some notes, and he said, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is not right. this is also wrong. He gave me really, and I say that tongue in cheek. He gave me some fantastic advice.
That's great.
And so every single piece of the advice he gave me went into this book. I feel like I should credit him somewhere in the bibliography. But yeah, so it's basically just a book that it's not a book that's going to help someone become a better brewer. It's not a book that's going to help someone learn to be a better taster. It is a book that's going to help someone understand how the language they use goes into what the judges perceive. I'll give you a really good example. When Cooper gave me the first advice, he said, I apologize if I misquote you. I think you said it's always medium/high, because medium-high is a range, and you never want to do a range. You want to do an actual number. And then I had someone else, Mike Dixon, told me, no, it's always a slash, never a hyphen, because that denotes a range. And then I was sitting across from a grandmaster judge one day, and I asked him the question. He said, they're both wrong. You always want to put the adjective, and he's like, you want to go low, medium, but never medium, low. And I'm like, okay. So I created an entire section on here on just how to say just shy of medium.
Description of ranges, yes.
Or this is just above medium or just below. So I have an entire section in here that talks about that one little thing.
I think what I would have said to you is you would never say low to medium. You would always say, medium low, or medium to high medium, or it's so
no slash, no hyphen.
If you say high to medium, then it's a range. But if you hyphen versus, I think a slash would denote like it's either medium/high, and a dash would be like medium high is like,
you're combining the two things.
Yeah. So the conclusion I came is that different proctors interpret that one little piece of information differently, and so you have to navigate whoever the proctor is.
Yeah,
that's
for
weird.
sure.
Anyways, that's the book.
You know what I would do? I would just tell people to not use that type of delineation or whatever, and just say just shy of medium.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did.
And there you go. And then it's fine. You know what? I would push back a little bit, Doug, because you did say that this isn't going to make anybody a better brewer. And I think that's not correct, because the more that you understand what the friggin' stupid idiots at the beer judges at the table are looking for, the more you can, and the more you can align. If you can align your vocabulary with them, if competition is something you're going for, even just to be a better brewer in general, right? If you can figure out what the guidelines are for a certain style and how to interpret certain things that people tell you that know what they're talking about, I think that could be a really big help. And a lot of times, homebrewers go like, oh, I don't know. I mean, he said the mouthfeel was slick. I guess that's good because water is wet and, whatever. And that's not
like wetness.
A good thing. Yeah. So, this is the kind of book, and we say book. It's 5 pages?
Maybe 6.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. It's a small book.
It's 40, 50 pages.
Yeah. But you condensed it really well into easily digestible bites, because, at the end of the day, it's beer judging, and it is a lot of interpretation, like you're kind of, making the point, but there's a lot of guidelines around that too. So the more guidelines you can understand and figure out what people are looking for, the better, not only judge you're going to be, or more prepared for the test, but I think the better homebrewer you're going to be too. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, and this really comes down to, I'm a firm believer that, you kind of try to create the change you want to see. And I think we need more judges. I think we need better judges. And so I keep these copies in my bag. And when I go to a competition, if someone, and again, I'm not the best judger at the table. I want to be very clear about that. I just put some words on paper. But I'll hand the book out to people. And if, I priced it, at $10. I was going to price it at $5, which gives me like no margin for me. But I felt if I price it at $5, then people would think it's not worth anything, and then no one would buy it. So
perception of value.
So the perception value. So if anyone can, reach out, I'm on the MHP Discord. I'm on multiple, By the way, Char, you never asked. I am a member, Inland Empire Brewers.
Nice.
Oh,
Yes.
Char.
Oh my God! It's a series finale. Doug, what are you in a homebrew club?
Why, Char, I am. I'm in.
What is the name of your homebrew club?
I'm in multiple clubs. Actually, my first love is the Inland Empire Brewers. These are the local guys who give me so much. I can't even speak how much value I get from the local club. I'm also involved with the Brew Club, which is an online club that was established in 2021, and I'm pretty active in that.
Those
group.
online clubs, man, I tell you.
So for people in Southern California, out in the Inland Empire, if they wanted to learn more about your club, is there Inland Empire Brewers? Is there a website or something they could go to?
There is, and I wish I had prepared for this question.
If you search
the
Inland Empire Brewers,
Inland Empire Brewers, I think .com or it might be .org.
Okay,
but if you do a search for Inland Empire Brewers,
we'll find you.
If you see the word guild show up, that's not us. There's the Inland Empire Brewers Guild.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the name of. Sorry, go ahead.
To meet some of the other brewers in that club and some fun we had last summer. Go back and listen to the episodes where we had them all brew a bunch of Cal Commons and judged them side by side.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Doug, the name of your book is BJCP Exam Success, a Practical Study Guide. Is that correct?
That is correct. And it is available.
And someone could get this on Amazon?
So if someone had a Kindle...
Brian Shard, the attorney in Brian Shard just come out. He's like,
I'm just trying to be the marketing. I'm being the marketing guy.
So, Char, if someone has Kindle Unlimited, they can read this book for free. If someone wants the electronic version, they can get it for under $5. And if they want to have a copy in their hand, they can get it for 10.
Doug,
yes, sir.
No, you tell them. Let them figure that shit out themselves. Go buy it online. It's $10, you guys.
Yep, that's right. $10 for the book.
Here's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact that doesn't have to make it into the show. But I've sold. I
on the show. So if you don't want to say it, don't say it.
I put this book out.
Oh God!
I put this book out maybe 2.5 months ago. I've sold 11 copies so far, which I think shows a demand.
Hell yeah.
And then
11 more copies than any book I ever wrote.
And then Amazon comes up and it says out of 120,000 books on brewing and recipes and cooking, you're number 336. So I'm a bestseller.
Goddamn right you are.
Wow. Yeah, dude. That should be your next beer name. 336. Cool. All right, Doug, we're going to take a fast break. We're going to let you go, and then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap things up.
I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to watch you guys finish.
Okay.
Oh,
thanks, Doug.
No, that's uncomfortable. All right, well, hang on, everyone. Dr. Homebrew will be right back.
The leader in affordable, high-quality kegerators is here. Introducing Komos, the kegerator designed with serious beer drinkers in mind. It features an all-stainless steel draft tower, a major upgrade over traditional chrome-plated brass towers, and Komos keeps your new tower cold with their air-cooled tower fan, wrapping your beer lines in frigid coolness. Your beer is poured from innovative forward-sealing faucets that don't leak, so they stay cleaner for longer. Dual gas inlets on the rear of the fridge allow you to run both CO2 and nitrogen gas. Serve your beer with CO2, serve your kegged wine or even cocktails with nitrogen. The digital temperature display has the largest range available, allowing you to use the Komos Kegerator for fermentation if you need to. And now Komos Kegerators ship with Duo-Tight draft fittings for that click-to-connect assembly we've all dreamed of. Buy direct from KomosDraft.com and receive free shipping on your order. That's KOMOS Draft.com.
My name is Lily, and I've had hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, for years. I finally found some relief since taking Cosentix. Relief means I can show up more.
Cosentix secukinumab is prescribed for adults with moderate to severe hidradenitis suppurativa, HS. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTIX or Cosentix.com.
Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to have to pour you out.
Back to Dr. Homebrew.
I appreciate Doug. What a nice guy. No. All right, here we go. Let's come back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Wow, this is going to be one of the last times I'm going to say that. That's pretty fun. I'm excited about that, to be honest with you. I don't know why. This show's a lot of work, man. The show's a ton of work. But hey, look, if you guys want this show to come back full time, like Cooper said 2 hours ago, title sponsorship is open, baby. You contact JP at thebrewingnetwork.com. You send me an email and we'll talk, baby, because it's a great show. It's the very first show like it in the world. And I can say that with a great deal of confidence. And I don't even know if anybody else is doing anything like this. I don't listen to other podcasts, so I have no idea.
I listen to other podcasts, but I listen to no other beer podcasts other than the BN.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of a podcast like this.
No, it's such a brilliant idea.
There are people that talk about beer and drink beer on podcasts.
Yeah, but they all suck anyway, probably, I'm sure. You know what I mean?
Not like we do.
No, not like we do. We're the best. Man.
We suck better than anybody else.
That's true. So yeah, like you were saying, man, you know, when we have something to say or we have a cool idea for a show, maybe we'll do like interviews or something like that. We'll come back every now and then. So definitely don't like delete us from your feed, but just don't be surprised if you don't hear from us for a little bit.
We're not
We'll have a very
ghosting
special
you.
streaming episode of
We're
something
not ghosting you.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're still
maybe.
friends. We like you.
We're just really busy.
Aren't avoiding you.
I have 3 jobs.
I don't have any. So
Yeah.
you know.
I would like to give a personal shout out to my good friend, the departed Lee Shepard, and also to the very much alive and vivacious Keith Cost, and somewhere out on the East Coast doing brewing, actually. So
I thought he was in the Midwest suffering.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
If I were not in my living room, like I would pour something out on the floor, but I don't want to clean that up later. But I'm really honored, you guys, to have been part of this show for so many years, because I really can't. Nobody can fill the shoes of Lee, and Keith was so great, and I'm happy to have been here, and I had really, really big shoes to fill, and I hope I filled them somewhat. But
we've been very glad to have you join in, and your laugh will echo on into the annals of podcasting history.
In 100 years, people will be listening to the archives, historians, and they'll be like, "What the fuck was this shit?"
But I think you've been on it as long as anyone else at this point. I could do the
I feel
math,
like I might have. I've been on the show like 8 years.
So yeah, it's been doing it for a good while, and it's been a good run, and it's been fun. Go back and listen to some of those early episodes. I think I've learned a lot by being on the show. I've learned from all of my co-hosts, and everybody has their unique perspectives on the beer, and we always find common ground and have some fun tasting it. So JP is a host and the editor that has to go through all this stuff and do all that work.
Yeah.
Hey man, kudos to you, and for taking a chance on this show. And of
course,
it's been something that a lot of people walked up to us at events and said, "Hey, you helped me become a judge," and that's something that means a lot to me personally, because that's one of the things I like to help people do.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to do the show. That's why I wanted to start the show, and it was myself and Nicole Ernie. So big shouts out to big Nicole. I was going to say big N word, but that's not what I mean.
Nicole's phenomenal.
And
she's great, and we just couldn't get it to work with her schedule or whatever. So
over the years we've had her on the show too, and Doc and Beardy, even Gordon Strong came on and judged when at HomebrewCon and HC a couple times, and other people that have been guests throughout the years. Al Voice, my brother Jim. We played guitar. We had
it's a microcosm of the fact that the homebrewing community, even though homebrewing may be not as popular as it was 10 or 15 years ago, it's still a community, and you can still find great people in your homebrew club, in your city, in your state. You can find great judges, great human beings that you like to hang out with, who are great people you can learn from, and become lifelong friends. And that's not just with this show; it's with the whole community. I think people should always keep that in mind. This is a community, and it's a great community, and be a part of it.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't feel that way. If you're a singular home brewer, but definitely look out, reach out to other homebrewers, either online or whatever, and see if there are homebrew clubs in your area. There's a lot of online homebrew clubs too. Yeah. Join those, definitely make friends if you're just kind of like a solo home brewer. Even if you're not really trying to be friends with anybody, if you're like me, you're like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. It is nice to like have people in your phone to be like, hey, let me ask you this question, or hey, will you try this? Let me know what sucks and what doesn't. You know what I mean? Even just on that surface level, it's invaluable.
When clubs come together and do events too, and like public facing things, like we do Livermore Craft Beer Fest, and our club always pours there. People come up and say, hey, where can I get this beer? I'm like, well, we can't sell it to you, but we can show you how to make it. And it's a community, like you said. And there's other events like Northern California Homebrews Festival where everybody comes together, and it's really just like a commune almost that happens every year, and everybody just comes together and shares their beer, shares camaraderie. And I know a lot of people from just there, but you see them every year, and it's like, hey, you come back, and it's like a brother in brewing, even though I brew less than I used to, a lot less.
Exactly.
I'll brew something for that
a world,
and share it, and always have some fun and talk about beer and see what new energy is coming up. And I'd like to see that new energy build, and maybe we could build the show back up and do something different, or keep it.
Exactly. In a world where it's so easy to be isolated, it's so easy to be isolated today.
Yeah.
And it's, you don't have to be, you can be like JP, you can be like Coop. Homebrew gives you a way to meet people, in a simple way or in a deep way, whatever you want.
I don't even want to meet people, dude. I don't want to see anybody new in my entire life.
You've met me before, JP.
I know. That's what I mean. I've met everybody I need to meet. I don't need to meet anybody. Unless you're going to give me money. I don't really care. I don't give a shit. I know enough people.
Yeah.
If you enjoy your life, go to these events.
And if you want to send beer just for us to drink, email Brian at thebrewingnetwork.com and we'll drink it. We might even record a show. You never know.
You don't ever know.
Don't ever know.
We'll see what happens. But I don't know, man. It's been a good time. And, you guys, you two Brians have put up with a lot with me and my requirements for continuing to do the show and
vice versa, man.
In my timeline. Brian, shut up. I'm trying to talk. Stop it. And my timeline as far as like doing the shows and trying to get beer to everybody and coordinate everybody. So I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate that. And, you guys were instrumental in continuing the show after lockdown, which I will stress that's what I think most people mean when they say after COVID, because COVID's still a thing and it's still killing like people. So it's fine. Don't say after COVID, God damn it, because it's still here. But
it's just endemic now.
It's not as bad anymore. So, we still need to, anyway, whatever. But anyway, I appreciate that from you guys very much. I know it's not easy. I know I'm not an easy person to work with, especially when I have a little bit of power. So, I appreciate it very much.
You're almost as nice as Justin. I mean, no, Justin has supported this over the years too. And when we used to record it at the Hop Grenade and the old BN studios, sometimes he'd be there supporting the shows. And, I think that it's a cool thing that he and he started and brought in
you don't need to bring him into this.
Cool collective of people. But yeah, it's all JP running this thing.
We're a group of odd ducks, and that's why this works, frankly.
He's like that nerdy show that we somehow still support, right?
Yeah. It's fine. Anyway, that's I think that's it, folks. I think we've said all we need to say. If you want to keep up with everybody, there's a bunch of shows on Dr. Homebrew. I know Cooper and Shar, you guys don't really do anything. Cooper,
I do nothing. I'd exist.
I'm still working for the BJCP, so I'm the West rep and treasurer for them. And if anyone needs support out here on the West Coast and Hawaii, California, Nevada, Hawaii, hey, I'm your guy. And
how do they get in touch with you?
Brian and I are also starting a new podcast without you. Just so you know.
God bless you.
It's just called The Bryans and Beer.
Dr. Brew.
Yeah, Dr. Brian.
Yeah.
How can people follow you, Brian? You go on. This is the plugs. Let's plug something. You got a thing to plug?
We're gonna create an Instagram page called The Bryans and Brew.
God damn it, Brian! Yeah. I'm trying to close the show out, and
I'm going to be. Reach me. Email me at Schar SCHAR@crosspondlaw.com. I have 3 jobs. I can always use a 4th. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Just I'm.
What do you do, Schar?
Brian Schar. I am a patent and trademark attorney. That I have. I was kind of winding up my own firm, and now I'm not. And I also work at 2 different medical device companies, and it's just all kinds of stuff is going on right now. And my daughter, I didn't tell you guys, my daughter just graduated from high school. She's going to Cal Poly SLO.
Yeah, you told us like 12 times for the last.
Okay, I'm proud. I'm a proud dad.
I know
I'm a proud. What can I say? I'm really proud of my daughter.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Hey, my daughter's graduating 1st grade. What do you think of that?
Nice. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And if you want more of me, earsup-podcast.com, ERZ-podcast.com. You can follow us on Twitch also at Twitch TV, twitch.tv/earsup. And that's just me basically. I play video games sometimes, but also record our shows live on Twitch. And let's see, I think this Sunday we're doing like a Buena Vista Boys, which is where we talk about all Disney live action movies. That's all live. And I'm starting up another podcast where it's Disney conspiracy theory. So we got a lot of stuff in the fire going over there, Ears Up. So you can there's always more content to catch up on, folks.
I got to subscribe to Buena Vista Boys. It sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's fun. We're on our 2nd season. We're gearing up. We're recording our 2nd season right now. Our 1st season was a blast. 10 episodes.
Nice.
It's fun.
Cool. I'll have to listen to that sometime. I've never listened to your other podcasts.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I listened to like most of them. And Buena Vista Boys didn't show up on Podcast Addict until... But I'm going to check for that for the show.
Do it. You look for it. All right, let's get out of here. Finally, everybody.
Let's keep rambling.
No. Seriously. And to the listeners, we appreciate you guys and all the support.
We do.
I mean, the amount of people that still listen to the show is actually mind-boggling to me. Mm-hmm. It really is. With the sort of like, ebbing of home brewing popularity and craft beer popularity, things are kind of just softening a little bit, but people are still listening to the shows, which is awesome. It feels great, and so we really do appreciate that. You guys are the only reason we're doing this, even the only reason we're even thinking about maybe doing a show every once in a while. So
the entrance too. I mean, the people have entered beers in their thing over the years, and sometimes improved their beer for a competition, or just found something weird in their beer they wanted help with, and we've tried to help them. And sometimes we actually have. Long time ago in the studio, we had Bevo helping us out too. There's so many people that have been involved with this over the years that all of them mean a lot to me. We're probably forgetting people, but to everybody, thank you. And we'll sign off with a grateful heart and move on to brew good beer and judge beer out there with you. Any of those that have become judges through us, congratulations and thank you. We'll see you out there.
Well said, Coop.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Until next time, take care of each other, and we'll see you later. All right.